Hey everybody, today we are debating whether or not the Shiite are Muslims, and we are starting right now with Daniel's opening statement. Thanks for being with us, Daniel. The floor is all yours.
Thank you, James. I gotta share my screen now.
You got it.
Can you see that?
Yes. Ready.
Okay. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Sorry. Sorry, James. Hold on.
Folks, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, want to remind you we are a neutral platform hosting debates on science, religion, and politics. We hope everybody feels welcome. And hit that subscribe button as we have many more debates coming up. We hope you feel welcome, whether you be Christian, Muslim, atheist, you name it. We are glad that you are here. We want everybody to have their spot at the table.
Okay, sorry about that, James. Now I think it's showing fine.
No problem. All set.
Okay. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. Israel is genociding Sunni Palestinians. The only militaries fighting back are Shia. Sunni Palestinians have embraced alliances with Shia factions like Iran, Hezbollah, and the Houthis. This Shia-Sunni cooperation scares two groups, Zionists and Sunni sectarians like my debate opponents today. Conveniently for Israel, these sectarians are smearing the Shia as non-Muslim enemies of Sunnis. Let's examine these claims, beginning with whether Shia are Muslim or not. According to the Sunni fiqh of takfir, the majority of 12er Shia today, including many of their scholars, are Muslims. This is not just my opinion. The majority of Sunni scholars today agree that 12er Shia are Muslims, including their leaders. Other scholars agree, but takfir should be made on an individual only if it's proven he holds kufr beliefs. So if we limit ourselves to contemporary Sunni scholars, the debate would be over. In fact, my opponent's view that 12ers are default kafir is a fringe opinion today, mainly because 12ers have reformed their doctrines heavily over time. But to make it more challenging for me to debate, I'm going to accept a higher burden of proof and only focus on pre-modern scholars to make my case. An important disclaimer, I maintain that Shia are Ahlul Bid'ah with deviant beliefs. In no way am I arguing that 12er beliefs are legitimate. However, are those beliefs kufr? And can we declare 12ers to be kafir? That's the question. What is the fiqh of takfir? Takfir means declaring someone a non-Muslim. Takfir is a serious matter because the Prophet ﷺ said, if a man says to his brother, O kafir, disbeliever, then surely one of them is such, i.e. a kafir. So calling someone kafir is potentially dangerous. If you're incorrect, then the accusation turns back to you. Given this, Islamic scholars set a higher bar for takfir. They established two main principles. The first principle, you can't declare someone who recites the Shahada a kafir unless he affirms a belief that contradicts a teaching which is known with certainty to have been communicated by the Prophet ﷺ. Such a teaching is ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura. Explaining the concept of ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura, Shafi scholar Jalaluddin Mahalli says, it is something known by both the learned and the common people, and also something that cannot be doubted, such as the obligation of prayer and fasting and the prohibition of adultery and alcohol. We know with certainty that a particular teaching was communicated by the Prophet ﷺ through study of the Quran, hadith, ijma' of the scholars, etc. If a person rejects something indisputably communicated by the Prophet ﷺ, then he's implicitly asserting that the Prophet ﷺ was incorrect, which means that he disbelieves the Prophet ﷺ and thereby is a disbeliever in Islam. For example, we know with certainty that the Prophet ﷺ communicated that angels exist and it's forbidden to eat pork. If someone says angels do not exist or God has not forbidden us to eat pork, then this person is expressing disbelief in what was undoubtedly taught by the Prophet ﷺ. Notice that jurists require certainty. If there's any doubt about whether the Prophet ﷺ communicated a teaching, then rejecting it does not make one a kafir. It can, however, make one impious or a deviant. Certainty is required in matters of takfir because, as mentioned before, if you mistakenly make takfir, you risk becoming kafir yourself. Ibn Taymiyyah explains, whoever denies the widely transmitted duties such as the 5 daily prayers, fasting in Ramadan, or Hajj, or denies the widely transmitted prohibitions such as indecency, injustice, alcohol, etc., or denies the widely transmitted permissible matters such as bread, meat, or marriage, he's a disbeliever. Here's the Arabic if you want to pause the video to read it. Given this first principle, the onus is on my opponents to identify a belief that the 12ers have that contradicts what's ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura. That's their first hurdle, and it's a high hurdle because you have the foremost Sunni authorities saying that the Shia do not reject anything that is ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura. Imam al-Ghazali says, error regarding the status of the caliphate cannot serve as grounds for condemning people as disbelievers, nor do we pay any attention to those who exaggerate the matter of the imamate and equate recognition of the imam with faith in Allah and his messenger, nor do we pay attention to those who oppose these people and brand them disbelievers simply on the basis of their doctrine on the imamate. Both of these positions are extreme, for neither of the doctrines in question entails that the Prophet ﷺ perpetrated lies. This quote is from the famous book of Imam Ghazali, who rebukes other Sunnis for too hastily making takfir. He says 12ers have the doctrine of 12 imams, and they believe that the first caliph should have been Sayyidina Ali, not Sayyidina Abu Bakr. But this is not a doctrine that reaches the level of certainty that would make someone a kafir. Therefore, takfiring Shia for this doctrine is incorrect and extreme. The Shafi'i jurist Al-Haytami said, whoever denies the caliphate of Abu Bakr is an innovator, not a disbeliever. The eminent Hanafi scholar Ibn Abidin says, the bottom line is that judging someone to be a kafir because he insults Abu Bakr and Omar or some other companion is a weak view, and it should not be used in fatwas or relied upon. These scholars are pointing to the beliefs of 12ers and saying none of this contradicts what is known with certainty from the Prophet ﷺ, therefore we cannot declare them kafir. If my opponents know better than Imam Ghazali or Ibn Abidin and can point to some widely held 12er doctrine that's opposed to what's ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura, please share. That's their first hurdle. The second principle, the second hurdle is udhr, or excuse. Even if my opponents find something that's ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura that 12ers reject, that doesn't mean they're kafir. This is because modern Shia have an acceptable excuse. They may be genuinely ignorant. Therefore, they're excused due to their ignorance. This is known as al-udhr bil-jahl. Al-udhr bil-jahl is based on the Quran. For example, verse 286, Ibn Hajar al-Haytami and Ibn Abidin apply this principle to the Shia. Ibn Taymiyyah says the same thing. The 12ers, despite their ignorance and misguidance, have among them a group of people who are Muslims inwardly and outwardly and are not hypocrite zindiqs. Ignorance is not the only legitimate excuse, however. Another valid excuse is ta'wil, or specious argument. A Shia scholar may not be ignorant, but he may have some incorrect argument to justify his false belief. That incorrect argument means he's not deliberately disbelieving in something the Prophet ﷺ taught. Rather, he's confused and delusional, yet he's not a kafir. He's excused because of this ta'wil. The only way to declare him a kafir is by first refuting this shubha or ta'wil and presenting him with evidence as to why he's wrong. Ibn Taymiyyah says, declaring a specific individual from among these ignorant people to be a disbeliever is not permissible unless evidence from the Messenger ﷺ has been established for him, making it clear that his view contradicts the divine messengers, even if it's indisputable that his view is kufr. Abul Qasim al-Isbahani says, quote, whoever deliberately opposes a fundamental Islamic belief and is ignorant, not intending opposition out of stubbornness, does not become a disbeliever. This is because they did not intend to choose disbelief, nor did they approve of it. They exerted their utmost effort and arrived at this false conclusion. Ibn Abidin agrees. The correct view regarding the Mu'tazila, the Rafidis, and other innovators is that they're not judged as disbelievers, even if they insult the companions or deem it permissible to kill us, based on a specious argument. Al-Haytami says, regarding the conditions for becoming a disbeliever, it's that the person who is denying himself knows with certainty that the Prophet ﷺ communicated the teaching but still denies it, such that this person denying thereby deems the Prophet ﷺ a liar. However, The 12er Shia does not believe in the prohibition of cursing Abu Bakr, let alone believe that it's known with certainty that the Prophet ﷺ taught such a prohibition. It can be argued that the prohibition of such acts has been transmitted among all people by tawatur, and this negates the specious argument. This is a matter of debate and examination, and the heart leans towards invalidating this excuse. But the principles of the Shafi'i school judge this excuse acceptable, particularly with regard to not making takfir, because the 12er Shia curses or insults based on an interpretation, even if that interpretation stems from ignorance, fanaticism, and bias for one Shia group. The matter of takfir requires caution. According to Haytami, if the 12er believes something due to an interpretation based on ignorance or even bias, then he can't be declared kafir. So this is the second hurdle. Even if my opponents can clear the ma'lum min ad-din bid-durura hurdle, they still have to clear the other bil jahl and ta'wil hurdle. I predict that my opponents will produce statements from pre-modern scholars declaring the 12ers to be kafir. But there will be two big problems with these statements. The first problem is just because some scholars declared 12ers kafir in general terms, that doesn't mean that they actually believe that all 12ers are kafir. This is something that Ibn Taymiyyah explains well in a long quote. He says, the person who makes an interpretation with the intention of following the Prophet ﷺ is not declared a disbeliever if he performed ijtihad and made a mistake. This is well known with regards to actions. However, when it comes to beliefs, meaning aqidah, many people declare those who make mistakes to be disbelievers. However, this is not known to have been said by any of the Sahaba or the Tabi'in or from any of the Imams. In fact, it originates from the statements of Ahlul Bid'ah, who innovate new beliefs and declare those who oppose to be disbelievers, such as the Khawarij, the Mu'tazila, and the Jamiyah. This has also occurred among many followers of the Imam, such as the followers of Malik, Shafi, Ahmed, and others. Some of them follow this path, declaring others as disbelievers. Some declare all the people of innovation as disbelievers and declare everyone who deviates from their beliefs as part of the people of innovation. This is exactly the view of the Khawarij, Mu'tazilites, and Jamites. This view is also found among some of the followers of the four Imams, but it's not the view of the four Imams themselves or others. None of them declared every innovator a disbeliever. In fact, the explicit statements from them contradict this. However, it may be narrated from one of them that he declared the one who makes a particular statement to be a disbeliever, and the Imam's intent in saying a statement is kufr is to warn against it. The fact that a statement is disbelief or kufr does not necessarily mean that every person who says it should be declared a disbeliever, given the possibility that a person may be ignorant or relying on an incorrect interpretation or ta'wil. Ibn Taymiyyah is saying, yes, there are statements of general takfir from Sunni scholars, but the correct understanding of those statements is that they're not takfiring everyone who holds those beliefs, because those people may have acceptable excuses. In fact, it's an innovation contrary to the Salaf and the four Imams to just mass takfir people with deviant beliefs. Rather, this is the way of the Khawarij. And if you do find a statement from the four Imams that sounds like mass takfir, it's actually just a warning, not true mass takfir. That's the first point. But let's even concede this. Let's say, fine, there are Sunni scholars who mass takfir the Shia, and there are other scholars who don't. My opponents want to point this out and then say, see, it's a stalemate. The Sunni tradition is split on this question, but this is incorrect. If we're going to just find statements of takfir from Sunni scholars and call it a day, you can find many scholars in Sunni history who takfired other Sunni groups. For example, Al-Haytami says, know that Al-Qarafi and others reported from Shafi, Malik, Ahmed, and Abu Hanifa that those who claim Allah has a direction or body are disbelievers, and they are correct in this. So according to Al-Haytami, the four Imams takfired anyone who claimed Allah could be described with a spatial direction. Affirming body and spatial direction is the position of many Sunnis historically, mainly the Hanbalis and modern Salafis. Are we going to say, well, whether Atharis and Salafis are kafir or not is a stalemate because we can find scholars mass takfiring them? Many Hanbalis, of course, returned the favor and takfired the Ash'aris and the Maturidis. Abu al-Fida al-Mu'ayyid, a Hanbali in the time of Abu al-Hasan, said, Al-Ash'ari revealed his doctrine and established it, and it became the most famous of doctrines. Most of the Hanbalis judged him to be a disbeliever and deemed his blood and the blood of those who followed him permissible. Another example is contemporary Salafi scholar Ibn Baz takfiring Ash'aris. The person who says that Allah is not above is a disbeliever, for he denies Allah, the Quran, and the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So are we going to say, well, whether the Ash'aris and the Maturidis are kafir or not is a stalemate? Imam Ghazali describes this crisis of intra-Sunni takfir. The Hanbalis declare the Ash'aris disbelievers, and the Ash'aris consider him, meaning the Hanbalis, to be disbeliever. If my opponents say it's a stalemate on the 12er Shia, they should be consistent and say it's a stalemate on whether Salafis or Ash'aris or Maturidis are kafir, because we can find many statements takfiring these Sunni groups as well. Sunni scholars had two tendencies: either takfir everyone outside of one's own tightly defined theological school, or avoid this. Imam al-Ghazali and Ibn Taymiyyah were in the second group. They made strong statements against takfiring Muslims, including Shia, 12er Shia, on the basis of secondary theological differences. This poses a dilemma for Sunni sectarians. If they want to adopt the pro-takfir stance of the pre-modern scholars in order to takfir the Shia, they also have to be open to takfiring other Sunnis. But sectarians are not consistent. They'll takfir Shia on the basis of secondary theological disputes, but they won't extend this logic to other Sunnis. As for myself, I prefer the consistent position of Imam Ghazali, Ibn Taymiyyah, and others who believe that not only intra-Sunni takfir should be avoided, but also mass takfir of 12ers and their scholars should be avoided. In conclusion, in summary, my opponents have three problems. First, point to a widespread 12er belief that contradicts what's ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura. Second, prove that al-udhr bil-jahl and ta'wil don't apply to the 12er masses. Third, if you're going to point to scholarly statements takfiring the Shia, be consistent and acknowledge that there are many scholarly statements that takfir other Sunni groups as well. If my opponents cannot meet these challenges, they will have objectively lost this debate.
Thank you very much for that opening, Daniel. We are going to kick it over to Dr. Sam for his opening as well, which will also be 15 minutes. Want to let you know, first, we will have 5-minute rebuttals following these openings, and then we'll have open dialogue. And if you haven't yet, hit that like button, because we really do appreciate your support. And with that, Dr. Sam, thrilled to have you here. The floor is all yours for your opening as well.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله. الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا محمد خير الأنام. The Shia Islam is a separate religion from Islam. It's been originated as a distinct religion from the mainstream Islam, founded by Abdullah ibn Saba in the year 35 Hijrah. Ibn Saba was a Jewish convert who adopted Islam with an aim to distorting it, much like Paul did with Christianity. Now, An-Nubukhti, a prominent Shia historian, wrote in a book, Firaq al-Shia, he said, some of the knowledgeable companions of Ali reported that Abdullah ibn Saba was a Jew who converted to Islam, showing loyalty to Ali. As a Jew, he had exalted Joshua ibn Nun as a Musa alayhi salam successor. And similarly, after the Prophet's death, he began to extol Ali as the rightful Imam. Ibn Saba was the first to proclaim Ali imamat as an obligatory, openly denouncing Ali's opponents and exposing his dissenters. And Nubukhti further stated, for this reason, those who oppose the Shia argued that the origins of Shiism and Rafidism were derived from Judaism. Now, I'm not going to go through all the things that makes the Shia disbelievers. There are so many things. I mean, I have a book like says what the scholars of the Shia says, ulama Shia yaqulun, and this is like all completely like a photocopy from their books and on a lot of different subjects, which is just what they say exactly without even any comment. But anyways, I'm gonna just talk about one of the or two of the issues that Shia are having problem with Islam. One is the insults of the companions of the prophets. Now, the 12er Shia sect, a branch of Rafida, which is like the extremist Shia, was historically deemed disbelievers by early scholars. Imam Malik, for example, said anyone who insults the companions of the prophet has no share in Islam. Similarly, Abdullah ibn Ahmad ibn Hanbal asked his father about a man who insulted one of the companions And his father replied, I do not consider him to be in Islam. Additionally, Al-Maruzi reported that Imam Ahmad was asked about someone who insulted Abu Bakr, Umar, or Aisha, radiallahu anhum. He reported, do not consider them in Islam. Imam Al-Bukhari also stated in his book, Khalq Af'al al-Ibad, I see no difference between praying behind a Jahmi, a Rafidi, or a Jew or Christian. They are not to be greeted, visited, married, buried, or should their slaughtered meat be eaten. Now, that's very clear, very direct quote, and from his own book. And Imam also Shafi'i said, was asked, should I pray behind a Rafidi? He answered, do not pray behind a Rafidi. Also, Imam Muhammad ibn Hassan al-Shaybani, companions of Abu Hanifa, he said, it is not permissible to perform a prayer behind a Rafidi. Similar quote from Abu Yusuf al-Qadi. Also, Abu Mansur al-Baghdadi stated, the followers of the Shafi'i, Maliki, Ahmad ibn Hanbal, and Ishaq ibn Rahoya anonymously agreed that the obligations to repeat the prayer behind anyone considered to be hold a heretical belief that contradicts Tawheed, including Qadari, Khariji, and Rafidi, means Shia. This is in his book, Usul al-Din. There are so many quotes, like go quickly with some of them. Al-Muhit al-Burhani, Ibn Maza cites Shaykh al-Islam, Qawahiz Zada, on his behind whom prayer is permissible. He said, if his belief contributes disbelief, such as a Jahmi, a Qadari, who claims that the Quran was created, or an extremist Rafidi, is Shia, who denies the Khilafat of Abu Bakr, may Allah be pleased with him, it is impermissible to pray behind him. So he considered the extremists to be the people who reject the Khilafat of Abu Bakr Siddiq. Now, also, Al-Marghinani also had a similar statement. Also, we see a lot of views of similar Hanafi scholars, such as Shilbi, Al-Badr al-Aini, Al-Nasfi, Ibn Nujaym, and others. And this issue is discussed in Hanafi textbooks in the section of the prayers. It's just wide among them. And this is a direct rule of all the Shia. Now, there are many other types of kufr that the Shia, 12 Shia have. For example, Qadi Ayyad stated in his book, Al-Shafi, likewise, we definitely declare disbelievers, the extremist Rafida, for claiming that the Imams are superior to the prophets. Sheikh Wali al-Din al-Dihlawi, Hanafi scholar from India, in his commentary on the Muwatta wrote, similarly, whoever says about the two sheikhs, Abu Bakr and Umar, for instance, they are not among the people of paradise, despite the established hadith about their glad tidings, or says the prophet is the seal of the prophethood, yet interprets this to mean only the one after him can be named a prophet by title, while claiming that the essence of prophethood, being divinely sent, commanding obedience, and being infallible from sin and error, continues with the Imams after him, then that person is indeed a zindiq, so kafir. The majority of later scholars among the Hanafis and Shafi'i agrees that anyone holding this belief deserves the death penalty. That's end of his quote. Now, also, so that Dehlawi's words imply that anyone who believes in the existence of an individual who is infallible, ma'soom, receives divine guidance, and is obligatory to follow, and is superior to all other prophets after Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is considered a disbeliever for believing in a prophet after the Prophet, peace be upon him, even if they do not explicitly call that person a prophet. This is crucial concept, and this is why scholars, I mean, a lot of scholars have frequently declared Qadianis as disbelievers. That's right. And even though their claims are less extreme than those of the Imamis, Shias, regarding their Imams. For example, the Qadianis admit that Mirza Ghulam Ahmad was not infallible and knowledgeable, and acknowledge their mistakes in various places. This description of a heretic, Zinziq, by Al-Dihlawi applies to statements of Sheikh Mufid, well, that's a Shia scholar. He's the founding scholars of the Imami Shiite school. Al-Mufid also asserts in his writings that the Imams received word from Allah, though he refrains from calling it revelation due to the concerns among Muslims that no revelation comes to anyone after the Prophet, peace be upon him. So he merely denies the term, but not in its meaning, but and implications, and sounds necessarily disbelief. I'm going to skip like the direct quote, but I still have it if you need to. And I think like Brother Daniel, hopefully is in agreement with this. Also the disbelief, let's move to the disbeliefs of modern scholars. Because, for example, the Khomeini, he explicitly exalts the Imams. So, I mean, all this previous quotes where this encompasses the ordinary Shia layman, though here we are focusing on modern Shia leaders, such as Khomeini. First, it's important to understand that one of the Shia Imam's core principle is taqiyya, which promotes deceit and hypocrisy, nifaq, to conceal one's beliefs. In Shia texts like Al-Kafi, a narration attributed to Ja'far al-Sadiq said, 9/10 of religion lies in taqiyya, and there is no religion for those who do not practice taqiyya. This implies that 90% of the faith lies in lying, with the remaining 10% is the essence of Islam. Ibn Taymiyyah describes the Shia stating their symbol is humiliation, their garment is hypocrisy and taqiyya, and their capital is lies and wicked beliefs. Taqiyya is explained as a practice by believers to protect oneself from harm, while hypocrisy involves outwardly displaying love, peace, and loyalty, while inwardly harboring hatred and harmful intention. Now, the Khomeini insults to the companions. Can you have share? Okay. Not this one.
Did you ask about screen share? It's usually the center on the bottom of the window. Sometimes it's at the top of the window, though. There you go. Excellent. Crystal clear. I'm just going to zoom in. All set. Oh, I think you might have, we can't hear you anymore. In case, let's see, it's not muted on Zoom. In case you might have hit a mute button on your microphone or something, we no longer have the audio from you.
Change.
There it is.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, all set.
Okay. So, like we see Abdulaziz Toraifi, Walid Saidan, Wajdi Ghanem, Sulaiman Alban, they all like declaring Shia as disbelievers. These are modern scholars. They're not like new. Now, let's talk about what's Khomeini's insult to the companions of the Prophet in his book Kitab al-Tallha. This is printed in Iran. I mean, this is not something I'm bringing. That's extraordinary. He calls Aisha al-Mu'mineen, Zubayr radiallahu anhu, Talha radiallahu anhu, Muawiyah, and other likes of the Sahaba, he said, more vile than dogs and pigs. So this is one of the insults. I mean, if this contradicts with anything, any other statement, he is like making taqiyya. That's very simple. Now there's even more important, the Khomeini on Islamic government, because Khomeini is the founder of the Iranian regime, and Khomeini describes the status of the imams in his beliefs, saying the imam has a praiseworthy station, lofty rank, and formation guardianship that extend authority and control over every atom in the universe. And I think, I mean, I'll go through some of his quotes, but Daniel before, he stated that he considered this kufr. He agrees with us that this is kufr, but although I'm not sure exactly yet if he is agreement in Khomeini himself, the one who said these quotes or not. Khomeini also said the imams in whom we cannot imagine error or neglect process comprehensive understanding of all that serves the interests of Muslims. Khomeini further claims it is among the essentials of our dictatorship. I mean, when he said our, it means Shia, that our imams hold a position that no exalted angels or prophets sent by God can reach. He added the teaching of the imams must be implemented and followed in the same way as the teaching of the Quran. In his book, The Islamic Government, Khomeini states, the imams in whom we cannot imagine errors or neglects. He also claims it has been narrated from them that we process certain states with God that are beyond the comprehension of even the closest angels and sent prophets. Such station also exists for Fatima Zahra, peace be upon her. So now, at the end, conclusion, what concerns us is not proving the disbeliefs of the common Shia, of the layman Shia. That's not the concern. Although this is a legitimate view that we cannot be denied, it has been reported by many prominent scholars, and with all respect to them, it's not our point of debate. Rather, our focus in identifying the specific form of disbeliefs, particularly concerning the Iranian regimes. The Iranian regime is based on the ideas of Imam Khomeini, especially as outlined in his book, Islamic Government. Thank you so much, and I'm done.
Thank you very much for that opening as well. We're going to jump into the 5-minute rebuttals. Want to do a couple of quick housekeeping things. First, folks, if it's your first time here at Modern Day Debate, do hit subscribe as we have many more debates coming up. We also have a podcast. All the debates end up on the podcast within 24 hours of the debate being live. So that's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you name it. You can find Modern Day Debate there and listen to podcasts or debates on the go. We are going to kick it over to Daniel for his 5-minute rebuttal. Do want to let you know, folks, in the Modern Day Debate live chat right now, I did put up a poll. Are the Shiite Muslim? That is open right now in the Modern Day Debate live chat. And Daniel, thanks very much. The floor is all yours for your 5-minute rebuttal.
Before you start the time, James, can I just give you the shout out before, or can I give a shout out to James? I just want to thank you, James, for hosting this debate. I know this is not your usual content for your channel, but I want to appreciate you. I want to appreciate your platform, Modern Day Debates, and I want to encourage everyone on my channel to go to Modern Day Debates and subscribe. You know, contribute some super chats as well. And you know, we appreciate on my channel, we appreciate Modern Day Debates. So I want to make that very clear to everyone.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah. I also need to share my screen for the response.
You got it. Ready for you.
Okay. Can you see it, James?
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Yeah. So thanks to James. Okay. So just starting my clock right now. So to respond, the main argument that the opponent has given is insulting the Sahaba is kufr. That's what all of his 15 minutes basically amounts to. So he mentions insulting the Sahaba, rejecting the Khilafah of Abu Bakr, I'll respond to both of these points. He also made a big deal about statements of not praying behind the rawafid, but that doesn't mean that you're a kafir. You're not allowed to pray behind Ahlul Bid'ah either, so this is not evidence. Scholars saying that don't pray behind the rawafid, that's not a proof that they're kafir. So there's a basic misunderstanding from Wissam. He also cited other statements takfiring the rawafid and the Shia. We addressed this at the beginning. There are many statements takfiring within the Sunni tradition, takfiring Ash'aris, takfiring Hanbalis and Atharis. You can find these from major Sunni scholars. So if you want to take this stance that is acceptable to takfir on the basis of secondary theological disputes, then be consistent, Wissam. Answer this question in your response. Are the Ash'aris kafir? Because there are many statements, I cited you some of them from the pre-modern Sunni tradition. Yeah, you might find statements saying that the Shia are kafir. You also find statements saying the Asha'ira are kafir. So do you agree with that? Because that's what your position entails. You also didn't show or prove that al-udhr bil-jahl or ta'wil or any of that applies or does not apply rather to the masses of 12-verse Shia. You didn't even address that point. That's a major segment of the fiqh of takfir. You didn't even mention it once in your presentation. It seems like you don't understand the fiqh of takfir. You cited many Hanafi scholars and their position on the Shia. But in fact, we find later Hanafi scholars that say that there's too much takfir from earlier Hanafi scholars. One of them is Ibn al-Humam, who says that it's mentioned in Al-Muhit that some jurists do not consider any of the people of innovation to be disbelievers, while others consider some of the people of innovation as disbelievers, etc. However, the first view is more firmly established. It is true that declarations of disbelief often appear in the writings of those associated with various schools, but they do not come from the jurists who are the qualified mujtahids, but rather from others. No regard should be given to those other than the jurists. The reliable view from the mujtahids is that what we have mentioned. So here is a Hanafi scholar, and here's the Arabic, who is saying that the earlier Hanafi takfir that you cited, this is not the correct position within the Hanafi school. So obviously there is a dispute even within the Hanafi school of which you are relying upon. Now we can go into the question of whether rejecting Sayyidina Abu Bakr and Omar, is that kufr? First question, is it ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura? Is it necessarily known to be a teaching of the Prophet ﷺ? Well, we don't find it in the Quran. We don't find it in Hadith. This is something that is claimed to be ijma'. But is it ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura? Scholars disagreed. Do all 12ers believe it? Yes, that's true. They do believe that they reject those two khulafa. But do they have an excuse for that belief? Does udhr bil-jahl apply? Or do they have some kind of ta'wil? So I already cited Al-Ghazali, who says that rejecting the caliphate of Abu Bakr and Umar does not constitute kufr. We cited Ibn Hajar al-Haytami, who said that someone who rejects the caliphate is an innovator, not a kafir. We cited Ibn Abidin, who says this is a weak view. This is the Hanafi school. By the way, Ibn Abidin, one of the authorities of the Hanafi school, saying this. So that rebuts all of your Hanafi citations. Now, insulting the Sahaba. One of the books here that I cited that is very good on the topic of insulting the Sahaba, Hukm min Sabbi Sahaba fil Madhahib al-Arba'. The book argues that the dominant view in the Hanafi, Shafi, and Maliki schools is that in general, simply insulting Sahaba does not make one a kafir. And then this is Ibn Abidin repeating, insulting the companions does not make you a kafir. It makes you a mubtadi', an innovator, a deviant. Ad-Dardir in the Maliki school, those who are not to be killed as kafirs for apostasy include the person who insults someone other than the prophet, whose status as a prophet has been established by consensus. Hence, there is no killing of a person who insults the companions. This is not apostasy according to Dardir. Al-Ghazali, there's another quote, Ibn Taymiyyah has some nuance in his position on this. He says it depends. Do you insult all of the Sahaba? And for what reason are you insulting them? If it's just one or two Sahaba or a few among them, and it's a specific kind of insult, that does not make you a kafir. It makes you an innovator. Then the modern Shia Khamenei bans insulting the Sahaba and the wives of the Prophet. He says it's wrong in Islam to disparage symbols of our Sunni brothers as well as to accuse the wife of the Prophet and sully her honor. This is the fatwa of Ali Khamenei on insulting the Sahaba. It's haram to modern Shia. You have Sistani. Ayatollah Sistani bans insulting the wives of the Prophet and the Sahaba. He says this behavior is condemned and strongly objectionable and is against what the Imams of Ahlul Bayt have ordered their followers. So his whole presentation is not applicable to modern Shia because they have banned insulting, 12ers have banned insulting the Sahaba and the wives of the Prophet. This is the screenshot of that. So he also mentioned people being higher than some of the prophets. The belief is not that the imams, the 12 imams, bring new revelation. That's not what the Shia believe. They believe that it's possible for imams to be higher than the prophets, not the Prophet Muhammad ﷺ, but some of the Anbiya. And yes, this is fully deviant. This is a terrible belief, but is it kufr? And that's what you have to prove. Is it ma'lum min ad-din? But durura, show me the proof. In reality, the historical Sunni scholars didn't focus on this issue. They didn't focus on this belief of the Shia. Why? Because the 12ers are explicit that the 12 imams are not prophets, they claim. Okay, we can continue this in the open discussion, but they reject that the imams are prophets, but they will cite people like Khidr.
Jump
Yeah, go ahead.
into the open dialogue. We're going to go in roughly 1 minute intervals. So I will give the speakers a little bit of leniency just so I don't interrupt their
like
final sentence for
5 minutes
each.
rebuttal?
Say one more time?
Yeah, he gets a rebuttal.
Oh, that's right. Pardon my... It's been a long morning. Sorry about that, folks. Sorry about the name tags earlier as well. Just to be clarifying, it is the case that everybody here today is Sunni, correct? It's just that Daniel is taking the yes position on the question of whether or not Shiite or Muslim, and then Dr. Sam, you'd be taking the no position, correct?
Yeah.
Wait, is it Dr. Sam or Dr. Wissam? I thought it was Wissam.
Wissam.
Oh, I'm sorry about that. I thought I saw the word Sam, but
no problem.
I'm going to fix that as well. But the floor is all yours for your 5-minute rebuttal, starting right now.
First of all, the prayer is not, does not, it's clearly saying they are not Muslims. And because the full quote shows that they can pray behind all the Ahl al-Bid'ah except certain people. And then they mention the Shia, and they declare them as disbelievers. And let me say the quote again. He said, it is permissible to pray behind one who holds erroneous beliefs, except that it is impermissible to pray behind a Rafidi, a Jahmi, a Qadari, and a Mushabbih, and one who claims that Quran was created, or a Rafidi who gives a preference to Ali. Such a person is an innovator, but if he denies the Khilafat of Siddiq, Abu Bakr, he is a disbeliever. So no, this is very clear. And also, you have before agreed that the fatwa of Khomeini is a clear kufr, and you said you were gonna declare this as kufr. I'm not sure what happened. Have you changed your mind on this or not? But there are a lot of fatwas of Muslims saying this is a kufr, and I've already quoted Imam Dahlawi. If you want, you already know the Sheikh al-Albani, a lot of other sheikhs declaring Khomeini, specifically Ibn Baz, for example, on this issue is a complete kufr, and it's even less kufr than the Qadianis themselves. So how is that not kufr anymore? Also, a lot of the quotes from scholars you have quoted, they're taken out of context. For example, the Fatwa Ibn Abdin is talking about the slaves. He also have another fatwa declaring the Shia as kuffar. So you don't want to cherry picks on these fatwas. For example, he states if the followers of the desires manifest their innovation in a way that contradicts disbeliefs, it is permissible to kill them all unless they repent. If they repent and embrace Islam, their repentance is accepted, except in the case of Ibahiyya, and Ghulat, the extremists, the Shia among the Rafidi, the Qaramita, and the Zindiq, among philosophers whose repentance is never accepted under any circumstances, and they are to be killed wherever before or after repentance. And also Qadi Ayad stated that Imam Malik said, all the followers of the desired are disbelievers, and the worst among them are the Rafidis. So at least this is a respectable saying from a Muslim scholar. You cannot declare followers of Imam Malik, for example, are sectarians. Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah also said in his book, Majmu' al-Fatawa, let me, what is a big quote. But anyways, I don't think I have time for the full quote. But anyways, you also stated that you only read part of it, but the people who reject the majority of the Sahaba, they are kuffar, and this is the fact with the Shia, and the claim that they do not insult the Sahaba. Okay, their books are full of insult to the Sahaba. So I will go with a fatwa that a lot of scholars said, if the Shia believes in their books, in their printed books today in Iran or in Najaf, then they are kuffar, because these books has a lot of kufr, a lot of insult to the Sahaba, as simple as that. And regarding the ignorance, we're not talking about the Shia layman. We're not talking about someone who's ignorant, is has no idea what's going on. We're talking about the scholars of the Shia, and we are also talking about kufr an-naw', like the type of the kufr. This does not have to be the person. Although a lot of these fatwas are talking about the specific people, you can go with kufr an-naw'. And once it has to be proven first, then you move to the next. Should we apply it or not? Is that person ignorant or not? Okay, you have the floor.
You got it. Thank you very much for that. And that poll is still live in the Modern Day Debate live chat on today's debate question. We're going to jump into the open dialogue. Gentlemen, the floor is all yours. Like I said, give you about 1 minute each. If you go over that, we'll say meaningfully, like let's say 1 minute and 5 seconds, then I'll say time just to make sure that we don't go too long.
Okay, should I start?
You bet.
Okay, so the claim that the books of the Shia are full of insult of the Sahaba. Again, I gave you the fatwa from contemporary Shia authorities that say that this is prohibited. The kind of claim that you're making that, oh, but it's found in their books. Yeah, it is found in their books. I acknowledge that. But their books are no longer applied. Why? Because their beliefs have evolved. That's the thing about Shia. That's part of why they're Ahlul Bid'ah. Their beliefs evolve over time. So beliefs that their previous scholars had, their current scholars will reject. So this is why you go with what they have. They're not like Sunnis, where we have a consistent tradition, and I'll cite scholars from 1,000 years ago. They're not in the same way for every single belief. Their beliefs have evolved. It's like saying that, oh, Americans believe in slavery. And then you ask an American and he says, no, I don't believe in slavery. And you say, oh, you're doing taqiyya because look at your Constitution. Look at George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. They had slaves and they're your founding fathers. Therefore, you believe in slavery and you're doing taqiyya. That's basically the kind of argument you're making against the Shia. And it's not very compelling when I show you the fatwa of Khamenei, the supreme leader of Iran, who is banning insult of the Sahaba and specifically the wives.
Go ahead, Doctor. Am I saying it right? Can you say your name for me? Wissam. Wissam. Thank you very much, Dr. Wissam. The floor is all yours.
So I think I already answered that. The Shia has taqiyya, means, and this is like 90% of their religion. So they're based on their religion online. So they lied to us. They said, "Oh, we forbid insulting the Sahaba." Their modern book currently printed, and including the Khomeini, is full of insults to the Sahaba. So whom they are fooling. So if they take these books and they read these books and they believes in what the modern books are doing, they're kuffar. As simple as this. Now, do you believe what the Khomeini said is kufr or not? Daniel, brother Daniel?
You want to give up your time?
Yes.
All right. So again, what is said in their books, you haven't established that these are the books that they are preaching today, and by the way, you can read a book without believing everything in it. So prove that their current view is that we insult the Sahaba. And in any case, I showed you many Sunni scholars, authorities who said very explicitly, insulting the Sahaba is deviance, it's innovation, it is not kufr. You just don't even acknowledge that point at all. And then the second point was that they're doing taqiyya. Yeah, same way. Like if you ask an American, do you believe in slavery? No. Okay, you're doing taqiyya. You're doing taqiyya. You can say that about anything. They didn't just say that fatwa wasn't just given to the Sunnis. They published it online publicly for Sunnis to see, to Shia to see. Their followers are seeing that fatwa, and they are not their private students of Khomeini or Sistani. There are people around the world, Shia, who are reading the fatwa of Khomeini or Khamenei saying that it's haram to insult the Sahaba and the wives of the Prophet. It's not some secret fatwa that they only showed the Sunnis, but then privately they say something else about the Shia. About Khomeini, I don't know why you keep emphasizing this point. Insulting the Sahaba, again, that's a disputed matter. In the next minute, I'll answer your question.
Go ahead, Dr.
Okay.
Hussam.
So again, you're repeating yourself. First of all, these scholars, the Shia scholars, they have a rule that anything that looks like the Amma, which is the Sunnis, any fatwa that looks like the Sunnis, this is, and they have a contradicting fatwa against, that does not look like the Sunnis, then they take the one that is similar to the Sunnis as the taqiyya and the other one as the correct answer. So, and anyways, do you agree that whatever in Khomeini's book is kufr or not? Because he has insulted the Sahaba. This is Khomeini. He is supposed to be infallible because he is taking wilayat al-faqih. But for his followers of the Khomeini, they believe in what he's saying. So do you believe in what in his books is kufr or not? This is insults Sahaba. And by the way, yeah, regarding the Sunni scholars that are not saying it's a clear kufr that insulting the Sahaba, that's a valid point. But the other point of view is also valid. That's an important issue. And we're not going to argue which one is the right one, because that's a very long debate. But we are saying both are legitimate points of view. You have the point, the mic.
No, I addressed this in my opening statement, if you paid attention, that Ibn Taymiyyah is interpreting the statements of takfir of the previous scholars and saying that, no, they're warning against these beliefs. They're not doing mass takfir. That is what Ibn Taymiyyah says, and the correct understanding of these takfir statements that you have cited. But you didn't address Ibn Taymiyyah's point. Furthermore, the point that they are making takfir, like you want to say it's a stalemate. Some scholars say they're kuffar, other scholars say that they don't. So it's a stalemate. We can't really decide. No, okay, fine. Let me just concede that point. Then you be consistent and tell me, are the Ash'aris kafir or not? Can we do takfir? Is it like a stalemate about whether Ash'aris are kafir or not in the Sunni tradition? You need to address that point about the Ash'ari because I don't think you're Ash'ari. So are the Ash'ari kuffar? About Khomeini, let me address that point. Look, insulting the Sahaba, you don't have to go on my view. I gave you the scholars like Ibn Abidin, Al-Haytami and others who said, and Ghazali, who said that this is not kufr to insult the Sahaba. But even if he is, okay, I'll still address it.
Dr. Hussam?
That's why I wanted 2 minutes, not 1 minute, but go ahead.
Brother Daniel, you didn't answer the regarding the Khomeini, but anyways, let's to your reply to your point.
Because you keep bringing up new points. Sorry.
So because this is kufr, no, let's agree to the type. If this type of kufr, then we can build on that. If we do not agree this is kufr, then why are we continuing the debate? But regarding the Ash'aris, this is not the debate on that. But no, the Ash'aris are not kuffar, and I don't see any. I don't know any prominent Salafi scholar who is declaring Shia. Sorry, Ash'aris as clearly as kuffar. I mean, they may say who the person who said this is deviant, is doing this, is not believer in Allah. But Ash'aris say no, we don't say this exact thing. So, but saying Ash'ari clearly has a very clear fatwa as kuffar, no, they don't say that. But we're talking about now here on the Shia. This is the mainstream Sunnis. They are saying in their fiqh book, not like a aqidah book, you cannot pray behind them. You cannot eat meat that they have slaughtered. They are. I mean, we're talking about the general rules for the Shia, like the implication of the fatwa of takfir of the Shia, not like the fatwa itself, because that's in the aqidah book. But in fiqh book, you can see the implication of this fatwa. They're not dealing with them as Muslims. And by the way, Ibn Taymiyyah.
Time.
Yeah, again, you don't understand fiqh. Not eating the meat of someone or not praying behind doesn't mean that you're a kafir. It means that this person is a mubtada'. That's a possibility. So I don't know why you are conflating these 2 points again and again. They insulting the Sahaba. I have to repeat myself again. There's a difference of opinion. There's ikhtilaf. It's not clear. Ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura. You haven't established that it's ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura, that insulting the Sahaba is kufr. You haven't established, or is contrary to ma'lum min ad-din bid-darura. That was the first hurdle. You haven't even passed that hurdle. Now, on Khomeini, even if we say that he's a 5-star kafir, okay, so what? Like, so what? My policy is that I generally don't do takfir of rulers. If you want to open that door and you want to investigate the beliefs of all of the rulers of Sunni countries and see if they have said anything that's kufr or not, by all means, let's have a discussion about the ruler of Morocco, about Saudi, UAE. If you want to discuss those rulers, let's open that door and discuss if they have said anything that is kufr, like, oh, we can abolish the Sharia. And it doesn't matter for Shia today because Khomeini was not even the highest authority in his own lifetime.
Dr. Wissam?
So Khomeini is a grand Ayatollah. So he is the top of the Shia marja. I mean, the Shia, you already know that they have a hierarchy of scholarly. It's not like anyone can be a scholar. Anyone can claim this is what the Shia believes. They have a hierarchy, and Khomeini is one of the top grand Ayatollah. This is the highest that he can get. And we're not talking, okay, you want to expand this to all the rulers, then we need to have a new debate for this. But we are talking about what he says in his books, and what does that mean? Like, if he is a ruler, then he gets protection against takfir. We cannot say he's kafir with all his beliefs just because he is ruler. And regarding Ibn Taymiyyah, if I have time, I can cite you what he says about this, because it's ma'lum bin deep darura. Ibn Taymiyyah, by the way, he declares all the Nusayris, Druze, and Ismailis as kuffar.
And time.
Yeah, we're not talking about Ismailis and Druze. They're not 12er Shia. The debate is about 12ers. And Ibn Taymiyyah does not mass takfir them. I cited many quotes from him proving that. You're saying that Khomeini is the top authority. That's false. You're just ignorant. Ayatollah Khoui in Khomeini's life was the top authority. Do you know where Imam Ayatollah Khoui was from? He's from Iraq. That was the recognized authority and marja of Shiism, of the 12ers in the life of Khomeini. You don't know about these differences within the Shi'i school or within their history. And then even today, Sistani, Ayatollah Sistani is higher than Khamenei. Did you know that? Or do you think whoever is like leading a country is the highest authority? This is ignorance of the Shia. Also, he said no Sunni scholar has made takfir of the Ash'aira. I cited Ibn Baz. Did you see the quote? Ibn Baz is saying that their belief is kufr, right? And I cited other Hanbali scholars in history, even in the time of Abu al-Hasan al-Ash'ari, saying that Ash'aris are kuffar.
Okay, well, no, Ibn Baz did not say Ash'ari are kuffar. He's saying certain beliefs is kafir, the person who denies that Allah is over his throne, and Ash'ari do not say that. They deny it explicitly. They have that wheel for this matter. And regarding Ibn Taymiyyah, the Druze are from Ahl al-Bida. Ismailis are from Ahl al-Bida. These people, and he declares takfir for them. Nusayris are from Ahl al-Bida, and he makes takfir for them. Ibn Taymiyyah says, as for those who claim that the companions, may Allah be pleased with them, are murtaddeen after the Prophet, peace be upon him, except for a few, not even reaching a dozen, or claim that most of them were immoral, such views certainly indicate disbeliefs. Look, this is the 12th verse here. For they contradict explicit Quranic verses that praise them and confirm Allah's satisfaction with them. Indeed, anyone who doubts the disbeliefs of such individual is himself unbeliever. The implication of these claims is that the transmitters of the Quran and Sunnah are either disbelievers or morally corrupt, and that the Ummah praised as you are the best nation brought forth for the mankind, with its first generation as the best, was mostly made of the disbelievers or transgressors. This beliefs inherently suggests that this Ummah is the worst of nations and that its foremost generation was its worst. Such disbeliefs is known by necessity within Islam. End of quote. That's Ibn Taymiyyah.
And time.
Yeah, Ibn Taymiyyah, if you read the rest of his statements, he says that if you insult all of the Sahaba, yes, that is ma'lum bid-darura, that if you insult all of the Sahaba, that is kufr. Yes, Ibn Taymiyyah says that. But he says that if you're just insulting one or two or three of them, he has three different levels. So there's nuance in what Ibn Taymiyyah says. I pointed this out. You continue to ignore it. You also make the bizarre claim that Ash'aris believe that Allah is above the throne. I would not see one Ash'ari scholar that says, yes, Allah is directionally above the throne and affirming that. Please show me an Ash'ari scholar, because I think you're ignorant of the Ash'a'ira as well. Now I want to get into some of your beliefs. Some of your beliefs are quite interesting, because is it true that you deny that Ali radiallahu anhu is the fourth caliph, the rightly guided caliph of Islam? Do you reject Sayyidina Ali and say that no, it's Abu Bakr, Omar, Uthman, and then Muawiyah? You skip Ali as the fourth caliph. Is that true? Because that also can be considered not disbelief, but deviance and contrary to the ijma' of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. So please clarify, is Ali the fourth caliph? And I'll show you, the audience, the tweets that you've put out attacking Ali, saying that he disobeyed the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, saying that he deliberately went against the wishes of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I want you to address that.
If you guys want to jump, if you guys are both open to it, you guys open to 2-minute rebuttals?
Yes.
No, that's
no, he's not.
It's okay. Well, to be fair, we agreed on one, so we'll stick with one.
Yeah, just
go ahead, Dr. Wassam.
So this is not about me. The debate is not about me. That's not about my personal beliefs, although what you said is not true. Yes, Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anhu, in the beliefs of Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah, he's not infallible. He makes mistakes. However, he is the Khalifa, and I say that he is the Khalifa. And the rightly guided Khalifa, this term is completely different, has a different definition. We are not going to get into this because we are discussing the Shia themselves, and I'm not talking even about your personal beliefs. I'm talking about the idea of the Shia, and in there's the view of the Muslim scholars, not me and you, on them, and that's what we're talking about. And go back to Ibn Taymiyyah. Ibn Taymiyyah, yes, he said like insulting one or two companions is not kufr, but saying the majority of scholars of Sahaba were immoral, this is kufr, and this is ma'lum ad-din ad-darura.
Time.
Yeah, irrelevant, because the fatwa of Khamenei and Sistani today say do not insult the Sahaba. Can I share my screen, James?
Yes.
Is it
Ready.
shared?
Yep.
Okay, so here is Wissam. Here's a list of the Khulafa. Oh, look, he skips Ali completely. Interesting. This is relevant because we're talking about rejecting the Khulafa of Abu Bakr and Omar. You just want to hide the fact that you reject Ali as the Khalifa. You're trying to avoid addressing this. It's very relevant to the debate. You're saying that Sayyidina Ali, not an accepted caliph. People did not agree on Sayyidina Ali. You say Sayyidina Ali disobeyed the Prophet's wishes. Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. Ali knew that in his heart that he shouldn't assume power because the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam didn't want it. The Prophet didn't want Sayyidina Ali to be the Khilafah. It's clear that the Prophet did not want him to be the caliph after him. That's what you say about Ali. Yet Ali was the caliph. So I guess Ali radiallahu anhu disobeyed the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And yeah, this is crazy, the kinds of things that you're saying about Ali.
So, no, I did not say he is not a Khalifa, Ali. I am not saying, but there are a description in one of the hadith that who are the 12 Khalifa that the Ummah is going to agree upon and no dispute. So there are certain Khalifas that were listed by, and this is debatable by many scholars, and so there was disagreement about Ali. Does not mean he's not a Khalifa. I never said this, so do not misquote me. I am saying that this description of the hadith applies to certain scholars, and that does not mean they are better than Ali. Ali is Sahabi, and a lot of the listed Khalifas were Tabi'is. Were even like the last one has a lot of issues on him personal. But we're talking about completely. So again, back to the subject. I am not rejecting the Khilafah of Ali ibn Abi Talib. I'm not saying he is. Also, I'm not saying he's this Ma'asum. Anyways, this is also going out of the topic. The topic is the Shia kufr, and now we have established
time.
I can't share my screen, James.
Okay.
Okay, so you did leave out Ali. You said that Ali disobeyed the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam.
Go back to that presentation. Go back to the first one.
No, let me finish what I'm saying. You say that Ali is not he's not one of the Khulafa. You also say Yazid is one of the Khulafa, but Ali is not. That's the crazy thing. You say that Yazid is a rightly guided caliph. That's one of your quotes here. And you said Hussein did khuruj. Let me finish. Hussein did khuruj against the rightly guided caliph Yazid. And you say that Yazid had a right to crush Hussein's rebellion.
How is that
Yazid stop interrupting me, dude. Yazid had a right to crush.
I do want to just let Daniel finish. It's only another 30 seconds, and then we'll give it back to you,
This
Dr.
is not
Wissam,
the topic of the discussion.
So stop interrupting. Stop interrupting. Let me finish my 1 minute. This is not appropriate.
This is not the,
I think to be fair, I do want to just because we agreed to those 1 minute intervals, I just want to let Daniel finish his.
Yeah, but he cannot bring any topic. I cannot bring his.
This is the topic. This is about the Khulafa. You brought the Khulafa into the discussion.
Your sister, for example. This is not related to the.
You want to talk about my sister? You want to talk about my sister?
Just throw an example.
You want to talk? You don't want to talk about my sister?
Personal, anything is not related.
You want to talk about my sister?
No.
Okay, forgive me. I just muted everybody just because I do want to get us back on track. I do want to give Daniel 30 seconds to wrap up his 1 minute interval. I do understand that there are topics where it's going to be in dispute from both sides on whether or not they are within the range of what's agreed upon to be covered. But I do want to give him his last 30 seconds just to finish this up. And then if you want to explain that it is a non sequitur and that he's just using a red herring or something, if that's your perspective, you have a full minute to respond, but I just want to let Daniel finish up on that 30 seconds. Daniel, you ready?
Yeah, can I start?
Yep.
Yeah, so it's interesting. Yazid is a rightful guided caliph, and he says it's not a condition that everyone pledge allegiance to Yazid for him to be a rightly guided caliph, But for Ali, you said, oh, Ali is not a caliph because not everyone agreed with him. So it's fine for Yazid, but it's not good for Ali, radiallahu anhu. He says that Yazid is the rightly guided caliph who's the greatest kings of Islam. Look at this kind of asabiyah. I bear witness that Yazid is the guardian of Allah. So he's imitating the deviant bid'ah of the Shia, except instead of applying it to Ali, he applies it to Yazid. SubhanAllah. So look, are you even a Sunni? That's the question that we have to ask. Are you part of Ahlul Sunnah wal Jama'ah?
1 minute to Dr. Wassam to respond.
So that was a mocking the last tweet, just mocking the Shia. But all of these topics, these are like discussed with a Sunni historian. And everything I've said has been said by other Sunni scholar. But this is not the topic of the debate. Now, would you answer like what's your thinking about what Khomeini have said? You still keep running out of this, Daniel, and saying that Shia do not believe in this is not true. Khomeini is the founder of the Iranian regime, and if you his book, Islamic book, Al-Hukuma Al-Islamiyya, this is the foundation. He was describing as the Islamic government how it should be. So when this book is full of kufr, and he based his regime, Iranian regime currently, on his book, let's admit, this means this Iranian regime is based on kufr. This contradicts Islam, and that's what we want. The debate is not on an individual. Go
ahead, Daniel.
Can I share my screen?
Yep.
Yeah. So the fact that Iran is founded by Khomeini. Okay, say he's a kafir. Okay, say Khomeini is a kafir. Ataturk was a kafir, right? Do you disagree with that? Ataturk was a kafir. So is the modern Turkish state founded on the principles of Ataturk? Is the Turkish state a kafir state? You want to make takfir of Turkey now? Like, this is such a stupid argument. By the way, you mock the concept of Imam Mahdi. So you're not a Sunni, like you're a deviant yourself. You're joking that the movie Dune is about a myth of the Mahdi, like the Mahdi is a myth. You're saying that the Mahdi is a Shia myth that has been inserted into the Sunni hadith tradition. You say the Mahdi is a lie. Imam al-Mahdi is a lie. So you're not a Sunni, Orthodox Sunni. You yourself are a deviant. And you don't want to talk about any of these things. It's very ironic. You attributed Ali to disobeying the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and then you go on and praise Yazid for killing Hussein and saying Hussein did khuruj. Like, that is quite a shocking thing to accuse of the grandson of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And then you're sitting here and pretending like you're an Orthodox Sunni.
Now again, this you're not even qualified to discuss these things, because everything that I say, well, first of all, you're misquoting me. Second, everything I say is quoted by a Sunni scholar. But we are talking about the Iranian regime itself, and whether we can get help from that Iranian regime or not. And you're still trying to run away from this question: is the Khomeini kafir or not? Do you agree with the Albani's fatwa? Albani's fatwa was very clear. What he quoted, what the Khomeini said in Al-Hukuma Al-Islamiyya, and he said this is a clear kufr. And do you agree? At least do you agree in the principle with Waliyuddin Dihlawi about what he said about the Imamah?
No, like I said, you want me to say Khomeini is a 5-star kafir? I've already said, sure, I can say that. Is that all you have for this debate? You want me to say Khomeini is a kafir? There, I said it. Or Albani said, okay, mashallah. What about the other rulers? What about the hukum of the other rulers? You want to start talking about the hukum of these other secular Sunni rulers? who explicitly are abolishing the Sharia and saying that we should have secular laws. You want to talk about all of their statements? My policy is I don't want to openly talk about or publicly talk about these issues because they're very sensitive, and I'm not qualified to be making takfir of scholars or of leaders of these countries or rulers. If you're qualified and you want to make takfir, be consistent. Don't just look at Khomeini's statements. Look at the statements of other leaders of other Sunni countries.
Dr. Wissam, I'll give you the last word. So this last minute is yours. We actually have come to the point of 30 minutes of the open dialogue. And so this actually will be the conclusion for this first debate. Folks, I want to clarify, just in case you're confused, as we oftentimes have one debate, today's stream has two debates within it. So this first one, Are the Shiite Muslim, is the first section. And then the second debate, which is Daniel versus Dr. Talha, will be Should Sunnis ally with Shiite? But, Dr. Wissam, pardon my interruption, the floor is all yours for that 1 minute, you could say, conclusion, and then we'll switch over into the next debate.
I wish you have at least agreed with Wali ad-Din al-Dahlawi, at least as the principle of this, what he said is kufr, not like if. You should say it clearly. And at least I have demonstrated that the fiqh of takfir at Shia is a well-known by Muslim scholars. And because they are doing something, al-ma'lum ad-din bid-darura, it's well known by necessity that they are claiming the majority, at least in their books, this is what their books teaching, the majority of the Sahaba were immoral, and there are many other things that lets them go out of Islam, such as declaring their imams are above the prophets and have a God's attributes, that this is a clear kufr. You do not need to agree that the layman Shia are kuffar. This is not the debate. We are just talking about the kufr unknown, which is the type of kufr that this is committed, and they are just have this, and the Iranian regime is not Muslim. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that conclusion. Like I said, folks, we are just getting started, as that was the first section of our two-section stream today. So I want to say, folks, Dr. Wissam is linked in the description box, both here at YouTube and at the podcast. So if you'd like to hear more from Dr. Wissam, you certainly can by clicking on his links below. Dr. Talha is going to enter the stream now. And Dr. Talha, please let me know if I'm pronouncing right. I want to be absolutely sure. And we're going to start that second debate, which I said is on Should Sunnis ally with Shiite? Dr. Talha, good to see you.
Likewise. How are you doing, James?
Very good. I want to say, folks, thanks for being with us. We are going to have, for the second debate, Dr. Talha will be going first. There will be 15-minute openings, then there will be 5-minute rebuttals, and then the same for the open dialogue, namely 30 minutes of back and forth, 1 minute per person. And then do want to mention, we won't have Q&A today, folks. We appreciate your questions, but do hit subscribe, as we will be having future debates. You don't want to miss them. And with that, gentlemen, thank you very much. The floor is all yours.
Sorry, is Wasim going to turn off his camera? Because I'll have to change the Zoom again.
That's up to you. Oh, yeah, I suppose.
Are you going to keep it on or turn off?
Okay, I'll turn it off.
Just leave it on.
Let me just do a quick adjustment in the OBS.
Yeah,
in the meantime, I want to let you know, folks, if you haven't yet, we do appreciate you hitting like, as that does support the stream. I would love your feedback. I'm going to put a poll in the live chat. Modern Day Debate is considering streaming on Twitter or X. X is exploding in popularity. We are considering streaming there as our second streaming platform rather than Twitch. I'm pretty sure we're going to, but we'd love your feedback. So I will put a poll in the chat. Just want to hear what your thoughts are on that. And then I've got OBS adjusted. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And Dr. Talha, well, assuming Daniel's ready.
Yeah, I'm ready.
Dr. Talha, the floor is all yours.
Thank you. Can I share my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Just a moment, please. Can you see that?
Not yet. It's that, depending on your window, your browser, or if you're using the Zoom program, there should be that green
I'm using
button.
the program.
Then there should be a green button in the middle bottom panel. There you go.
Can you see that?
Got it.
Okay.
Thanks
All
for
right then, I'll
subscribing,
start now.
Tallha. And
What's that?
I am perfect, crystal clear.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I'm going to jump straight into this because there's a lot of cooking to do in short order. So why a Sunni alliance with Iran and its Shia terror proxies is not possible. So actually, I've mentioned this before to Daniel, but he wasn't paying attention. So it's actually irrelevant if the Iranian regime and its Shia terror proxies are Muslim or not. And I'm going to be reading to you some excerpts from some scholarly opinion. So here is the opinion of Imam al-Qudduri. It is permissible for an imam to seek the support of the kuffar, meaning non-Muslims, against a warring Muslim faction, provided the final word of the matter belongs to the Muslims. And when he's saying warring Muslim factions, he's talking about what we call in Arabic Ahl al-Baghi. Imam Malik, and he's being quoted here by Ibn Abi Zayd al-Qayrawani, who's very famous in the Maliki school of fiqh. And he quotes Imam Malik as saying regarding the Arab or the Bedouins who engage in highway robbery, fighting them is preferable to fighting the Romans, meaning the Byzantine Empire, meaning the Christian non-Muslims who were at war with the Muslims at the time. And the Prophet ﷺ said, whoever is killed while defending his property is a martyr. Imam Malik goes on to say, if someone is killed while defending his and the Muslims' wealth, then that is even greater in his reward. So it's quite clear here what's being said. It's irrelevant if someone's a Muslim. If someone is violently engaging other Muslims, it could be even more preferable to fight that person than it is to fight a kafir, non-believer, non-Muslim. And finally, we go to the ultimate arbiter, the Quran in Surah Al-Hujurat, chapter 49, verse 9. I'm going to read the English because I'm aware we've got a diverse audience here today. And if two groups of believers fight each other, then make peace between them. But if one of them transgresses against the other, again, going back to Ahl al-Baghi, then fight against the transgressing group until they are willing to submit to the rule of Allah. If they do so, then make peace between both groups in all fairness and act justly. Surely Allah loves those who uphold justice. So even if we assume that Iran and its Shia terror proxies are all Muslims, which I'm willing to entertain, that. Even if we assume that, then bad news, they are Ahl al-Baghi, they've been transgressing, and I'm about to show you why. In Iraq, my country of origin, here I've got an Amnesty International report published November 2019, talking about Iraq's long road to justice and unfair trials and the death penalty. So Iran's proxies are conducting mass executions in Iraq, which essentially amounts to an attempt to commit sectarian cleansing of Iraq's Sunni population. Basically, the Iraqi regime uses and abuses the so-called de-Ba'athification laws, so that anyone who is deemed to be a Ba'athist can be accused of terrorism and then sentenced under Article 4 of Iraq's anti-terror laws to execution. Now, just for your information, everyone in Iraq, from school teachers to nurses to doctors, anyone who held any profession pre-2003 invasion, these people all had to be signed up as members of the Ba'ath Party, whether you agreed with it or not. It was state policy. You just had to do it. So now, under the guise of that, they are targeting Sunnis. They are taking them in. They're accusing them of being Ba'athists. And on that basis, they execute them. Simple as that. Sectarian killings. This report is from the New Arab, entitled Iraq's Shadowy Execution Campaign. Iraqi Sunnis are sentenced to death in kangaroo courts based on evidence extracted under duress and or by torture. And then they are refused the right to appeal once they inform the judges that their confessions were extracted illegally. Trials last sometimes less than 10 minutes. And if you look at the bottom box over here, it says the committee formed to ratify these death sentences is entirely made up of Shia members. Color me surprised. With not a single Sunni. In 2 days alone, 70 innocent people were executed, many based on false charges by secret informants. This was just last month, Daniel. So they were literally dragged out of their beds, it says so here, dragged from their cells in their sleepwear and hanged in groups of 6, with some executions accompanied by sectarian slurs from the executioners. These are the guys that Daniel wants us to be allied with. They're dragging innocent prisoners They have not had a fair trial. There's been no due process, and they've been hanged in groups of 6 while being insulted for being Sunni. Daniel's friends, ladies and gentlemen. Now, the Sunnis that have been forcibly disappeared. Since 2014, thousands of Sunni Iraqi Arabs have been abducted and killed by pro-government militias. And this was confirmed by the parliamentary speaker, the former parliamentary speaker, I should say, because he was also kicked out by the Shia authorities on grounds that he may have some kind of corrupt dealings. Who knows? They may be right. And he gave an interview to the Iraqi Al-Rashid television station while he was still serving and while he was in a senior capacity in the Iraqi government. And he said we should not call them abducted, the disappeared. We should call them the betrayed. Why are they betrayed? Because they lost their lives. The state must compensate their relatives and include their families in the law regarding victims of terrorism. In other words, he's saying that the Iraqi state itself, because it used the so-called Hashd al-Sha'bi, the popular mobilization forces, it used them to kill these people extrajudicially, and therefore the Iraqi state itself was engaged in acts of terrorism. Naturally, though, no anti-terrorism Article 4 law applies to them. Again, Daniel's friends. Now, the New York Times. This is about a sectarian cleansing campaign that occurred in only one place called Jurf al-Sakhar. Jurf al-Sakhar is not too far from Baghdad, just for your information, and it's populated by the Janabi tribe, who are on the whole Shia. And my uncle, one of my relatives, may Allah have mercy on him, was actually instrumental in converting them from Shiism. So may Allah put that in his scale, inshallah. Anyway, in Jurf al-Sakhar, in October 2014, when ISIS was running amok in Iraq, the Iraqi armed forces and allied Shia militias, all of whom are backed by Iran, recaptured the town of Jurf al-Sakhar. And not only did they kill ISIS, but after ISIS had fled, they actually went along and drove out 70,000 Sunnis. The town's elected representative on the provincial council was its lone Sunni member, and he was found dead with a bullet through his forehead not long after the battle. Odd way to greet someone that you've just rescued, apparently, from ISIS, but okay. So what happens is, whenever they go into these cities, is Shia militiamen and their families are rewarded the homes of these civilian Sunnis as ghanima. Ghanima means a lawful war booty, which comes from the Sharia law. And basically, it means that if you're allowed to take the wealth and property of those that you've just vanquished, yeah, and this is not, we're not talking ISIS, we're talking about the civilian population of Jurf al-Sakhar and other areas, it means that you consider those people kuffar. So even if I don't consider them kuffar, they consider me kuffar, they consider my family kuffar. Hell, they consider Daniel a kafir, which is interesting. It means that his blood is halal, his property is halal, even his female family members are not safe. Trafficking and sexual exploitation of vulnerable women and girls. This is the BBC conducted an in-depth documentary and went into Iraq and found that Iran-backed Shia groups, many with criminal networks, that span the Iran-Iraq border and are engaged in sex and drug trafficking, sexually exploit and traffic women and girls, some as young as 9 years old. This impacts Iraqi Sunni women as they force them into prostitution under the guise of mut'ah, which is a Shi'i pleasure marriage, temporary marriage, which is considered zina or fornication and adultery in Islamic law, as well as Shi'i women themselves who lack a breadwinner and are exploited for sex or else left to starve. Again, all heavily documented and accepted fact, except for from Daniel, who wants us to ally with these people. This here shows the domestic sources of financing for Iran's Shi'i-backed groups. The Iraq's Iran-backed Shi'i groups. And it shows you they even protect nightclubs and gambling halls, massage shops, prostitution, drug cartels, sharing economic loot among Iraqi militias. What that means is they go into these Sunni areas, for example, or they go into an oil refinery, they break it down for parts, they sell it, and then they split the loot amongst them. Oil smuggling, and Daniel will like this one, holy shrines. A new one pops up every other week in Iraq. He should consider tourism there. Syria. So we've now moved on from Iraq. Dar'a, which was the cradle of the Syrian revolution against the Iran and Russia-backed Alawite tyrant Bashar al-Assad. The Assad regime's response to peaceful protests in 2011 was to disappear children who had drawn graffiti on school walls. The extract opposite here is from the Vice newspaper, and it shows what was said to Sunni parents who approached Alawi security forces asking for their children to be released. Let me read this to you because it is actually quite shocking. So this is an Alawite captain speaking to Sunni families. He told them about their disappeared children, forget about your sons. Consider having new children, and if that failed, why don't you bring your women to us and we will impregnate them for you? Does this sound like someone you can befriend and ally and be friends with and to team up with them against the greater evil? Maybe to Daniel, not to me. Hamza al-Khatib. This child was brutally murdered right at the start of the revolution, sometime between April and May 2011, which actually added fuel to the fire because it was previously peaceful. There was no armed revolution, whatever Daniel may lie about. He was brutally murdered, tortured, and I mean, just look at him. Young, innocent child. And there are pictures, by the way, of his mutilated, blackened corpse, which was swollen from the amount of torture that he endured in that short month. They cut off his penis and then they delivered him back to his family as a message. Okay? These are people that Iran backs and supports. Dr. Abbas Khan. Now this here is, inshallah, a martyr, a shaheed in the cause of Allah. He's a British Indian Muslim, and he was a medical doctor. He traveled to Turkey first in November 2012, and then he crossed the border in order to assist Syrians more greatly who were being harmed by Assad's genocidal violence, as well as the barrel bombs and Hezbollah mortars and rockets and all manner of other horrors. Within 48 hours of reaching Aleppo in the north of Syria, he was arrested by Assad's thugs. He was held in detention for at least 8 months before his mother was able to see him, who's pictured on the left, our auntie there. And when she saw him, his weight had dropped to 32 kilograms. A grown man dropping to 32 kilograms. He weighed as much as a small child. He had burnt feet and had missing nails. In other words, clear signs of torture. By December 2013, his family was informed that he was dead in one of Assad's dungeons. And she asks here, why did the Syrians, meaning the Assad regime, murder my son? It's a good question, Daniel, which I would like you to answer. We come up to the Caesar photographs next. In January 2014, a forensic photographer working for Assad's military police defected and took with him 50,000 photographs detailing 6,786 Syrian victims of Assad's violence, backed, supported, and facilitated by Iran. And this is a drop in the ocean of what they are responsible for. Again, hard, undeniable evidence. If the dead could speak, Daniel, if the dead could speak. Here's some statistics. 231,278 Syrian civilians documented as killed on the 13th anniversary. 15,334 due to torture. Yeah, 13th anniversary means it was just, that's not that long ago. Yeah, this is like now, right? So 156,000 have been arrested, 14 million remain forcibly displaced. Daniel's friends. Demographic engineering. So in both Iraq and Syria, Iran has actively facilitated and rewarded its Shia proxies from as far away as Pakistan and Afghanistan. So you've got Hazara Shia from Afghanistan fighting under the branch of the Fatimiyun and the Pakistani Zainabiyun coming into Sunni Arab lands and resettling in places where Sunni Arabs have been forcibly displaced from. We're supposed to ally with them. In Iraq, the old Abbasid capital of Samarra, Shia militias have used violence, intimidation, and economic strangulation to force Sunni inhabitants out. In Basra, they have been entirely cleansed, despite it being the city of Sunni luminaries like Sufyan al-Thawri. Again, more references for you. And this is the absolute doozy. Iran and its Shia militias have actively killed Palestinians. These are the people we're supposed to ally with, so that we can then go and save the Palestinians from Israel. So my opponent wants us to ally with Iran and its Shia terrorist network for the sake of the Palestinians, or so he claims. Yet those whom he wishes to ally with have themselves killed and ethnically cleansed Palestinians. In Iraq, 34,000 Palestinians under Saddam Hussein. After 2003 and up to 2006, that number precipitously dropped to only 4,000, I believe, 4,000 or 5,000. I've done a video, it's on my Twitter, go on the pinned profile, it's there. Now, they are non-existent. They have been ethnically cleansed by Daniel's friends. This also happened in the Yarmouk refugee camp in Syria. 80,000 Palestinians just blotted out. Now, Iran itself, we're looking at how we can ally with this entity. But it's had arms trade with Israel and the US. In the 1980 to 88 Iran-Iraq war, the Israelis and the Americans instituted Operation Seashell and what became known as the Iran-Contra scandal. And former Israeli agents who facilitated both the arms transfers and the subsequent scandal that rocked US politics in the late 1980s confirmed that Iran spent 82 billion in 1980s terms. We're talking about 250 billion adjusted for inflation today, $240 billion that then went and used by Israel to build illegal Jewish settlements on occupied Palestinian lands. And again, I have a source for that. Finally, they helped the US invade Iraq and Afghanistan. They've confirmed this. Ahmadinejad has confirmed it, the former president of Iran. And he says, America has said that Iran is the axis of evil. They made this such an insult against us when Iran was the country that cooperated with them the most in Afghanistan and Iraq. How can we ally with such people?
And
let's hope Daniel answers.
We will kick it over to Daniel for his opening. I want to say, folks, thanks for being with us today. If you haven't yet, hit that like button. We're going to kick it over to Daniel for his 15-minute opening as well. Thanks, Daniel. The floor is all yours.
Wait, let me set up. I have to share my screen too.
You got it.
Let's see.
In addition, reminder, folks, we won't have a Q&A, but I do want to remind you, Modern Day Debate does have a podcast. It is available on Spotify and Apple Podcasts, as well as all the other podcast apps. Check that out. That way you can listen to debates on the go. And we're ready for you, Daniel.
Ready?
Yep.
Okay. Bismillah, alhamdulillah, wa salatu wa salam ala rasulillah. So the difference between me and my opponents can be expressed as follows. I advocate for pan-Islamism. My opponents advocate for Arab nationalism in the form of extreme Sunni sectarianism. Pan-Islamism is a traditional Sunni doctrine. It holds that Muslims of all kinds are allies or awliya who must cooperate to protect one another. They're allies even if they differ by tribe, ethnicity, or theological sect. This means cooperation between Arabs and Turks, Ash'aris and Salafis. It also means cooperation between Sunnis and Shia, at least where the Shia involved are Muslims. Pan-Islamism is based on the Quran. Allah says the believers, both men and women, are allies, awliya, with one another. They order what is right and forbid what is wrong. وَالْمُؤْمِنِينَ وَالْمُؤْمِنَاتِ بَعْضُهُمْ أَوْلِيَاءُ بَعْضٍ. Allah says, hold fast to the rope of Allah altogether. Do not split into factions. Remember Allah's favor to you. You were enemies, and then He brought your hearts together, and you became brothers by His grace. وَاعْتَصِمُوا بِحَبْلِ اللَّهِ جَمِيعًا وَلَا تَفَرَّقُوا. In the Modern era, Muslim empires like the Ottomans and Mughals frequently endorsed forms of pan-Islamism. In the modern era, many groups endorse pan-Islamism in some form, including the Palestinian resistance, the Taliban government in Afghanistan, the current Turkish government in some form, the Muslim Brotherhood, and Iran. I also endorse pan-Islamism. More specifically, Sunnis and Shia should cooperate to defend Muslim lands like Palestine and Lebanon from attacks by non-Muslim forces. Muslims should cooperate to prevent Israel and the US from genociding Muslims. Pan-Islamism, however, does not mean that Sunnis and Shia should cooperate in all circumstances and all places. For example, Shia forces associated with Bashar al-Assad, Iran, and Hezbollah have inflicted terrible oppression and bloodshed on Syrian Sunnis. All Muslims have an obligation to counter the Shia in Syria. And here, Palestinians provide a good example. Palestinians cooperate with Shia to defend Palestine and Lebanon, but at the same time, they oppose the Shia crimes against Sunnis in Syria. In fact, the Afghan government has the same position. Furthermore, the position of the Palestinian resistance today was a standard position among Arab rulers and religious scholars between the 1940s and 70s. During this period, Sunni and Shia Arabs allied together to fight wars against Israel to defend Muslim lands, such as the Arab-Israeli wars of 1948, 1956, 67, and 73. These wars were not only fought to defend Palestine, but to prevent Israel achieving its aim of expanding and taking over Arab lands in the Sinai and Egypt, the Golan Heights in Syria, as well as land in Jordan, Lebanon, and Iraq. These wars involved Sunni Arab states like Egypt and Jordan, but they also involved mixed Sunni Shia states. For example, Syria was ruled by a Shi'i and had mixed Sunni and Shi'i troops. Iraq was ruled by a Sunni and had mixed Sunni and Shi'i troops. And Lebanon had mixed Sunni and Shi'i troops. But my opponents today reject the position of the Palestinian resistance. They reject pan-Islamism. Instead, they tacitly promote the modern anti-Islam ideology of Arab nationalism. Arab nationalism holds that Arabs should cooperate together to advance their interests and acquire power, and if this means rejecting Islamic teachings or attacking and destroying non-Arabs, they should do so, non-Arab Muslims. Advocates of Arab nationalism include Ba'athist figures like Iraqi ruler Saddam Hussein and Syrian ruler Bashar al-Assad. Also included are particular Arab governments allied with Israel like the UAE and Jordan. In reality, Islam rejects all forms of nationalism, whether it's anti-Arab Persian nationalism of Iran under the Pahlavi regime before 1979, the anti-Arab Turkish nationalism of Turkey or under Ataturk, or Arab nationalism, which is hostile to non-Arabs. Since the 1970s, Arab states have declined in power due to attacks by Western governments and internal political corruption. As Arab power has declined, Israel and Iran have risen to become the two dominant powers in the Middle East. For this reason, Arab nationalists today want both states to be destroyed or weakened. They think that it's impossible to destroy Israel as it's allied with the US, so they increasingly focus their efforts on destroying Iran. Iran is a Shia country. Since the 1970s, Arab national hostility to Iran is increasingly expressed in terms of hostility towards Shia. As a result, Arab nationalists today not only hate Iran, but they now express hatred of Arabs who are Shia, as these are seen as the allies of Iran. In this way, post-1970s Arab nationalism has taken the form of extreme Sunni sectarianism. This can be seen most clearly in Iraq and Syria. In both these countries, popular Ba'athist Arab nationalism has gradually evolved into the extreme Sunni sectarianism. Such sectarianism is epitomized by the ideology of ISIS and Abu Musab al-Zarqawi. Extreme Sunni sectarianism is also embraced by my debate opponents, who not coincidentally are from Iraq and Syria. They're not members of ISIS, but nevertheless, they share many basic views of ISIS. Such views include the general mass takfir of Shia. Shia are generally kafirs. The Shia pose the greatest danger to Sunnis and seek to kill all Sunnis and destroy Sunni Islam. Sunnis should celebrate whenever Shia are massacred by the US, by Israel, or by ISIS bombings. Iraqi Ba'athists, ISIS, and other Sunni sectarians have carried out mass ethnic cleansing of Shia, massacring Shia men and sometimes women and children. Do my debate opponents agree with these actions? Do they believe that Sunnis should massacre Shia or mass ethnically cleanse Shia from places like Iraq, Lebanon, and Yemen? If not, why not? What exact forms of violence should Sunnis undertake against Shia? And what limits, if any, should there be on such violence? Talha, for example, publicly celebrated the biggest ISIS massacre in history. He was thrilled that ISIS slaughtered men, women, and children. Now, to be perfectly fair to Talha, he's not pro-ISIS per se. He just celebrates ISIS killing Shia. So given that my debate opponents believe in a general principle of celebrating the killing of Shia, what limitations are there on this principle? For example, if Israel conducts a genocide of Shia in Lebanon, should Sunnis start dancing and handing out sweets? If there's a US invasion of Iran that kills millions of Shia, like the US invasion of Iraq in 2003, should Sunnis start dancing and handing out sweets? What if Israel simply acts on its threats of launching nuclear weapons at Iran and indiscriminately kills millions of Shia? Is that an occasion for dancing and handing out sweets? I challenge my opponents to clarify their opinions on these matters. If they don't endorse ethnic cleansing and massacres, they should explain how their extreme sectarian and racial hate does not encourage such atrocities. Arab nationalists are constantly attacking pan-Islamism using two complementary arguments. First, they make the false and misleading argument that Sunni Islam teaches that all Shia are kuffar. They say that the Quran only requires Muslims to ally with other Muslims, but this does not apply to Shia because they are kafir. I have addressed this false and misleading argument in the first part of the debate. The second argument that Arab nationalists use to undermine pan-Islamism involves misrepresenting politics in the Middle East by saying Iran is a bigger threat to Muslims than the US and Israel. Now let me debunk this claim. First of all, the Quran debunks this claim. You will surely find the most intense of the people in animosity toward the believers to be the Jews and those who associate others with Allah. The Quran confirms modern history, where at present Israel and the US cooperate to dominate the Middle East and much of the Muslim world. The Israeli-US empire exercises control over almost every Arab capital by maintaining major military bases in these countries. It seeks to destroy Islam in these countries by imposing a secular liberal nationalist ideology and by repressing all Islamist groups who support Sharia and pan-Islamism. These are smeared as extremists and terrorists. But Arab nationalists, like my opponents, deny this. Instead, Arab nationalists claim that in reality, it's Iran that dominates the Middle East, controlling many Arab capitals with an agenda to destroy Islam by repressing all Sunni groups and imposing a kafir Shia ideology. But is this true? Historically, much of the Middle East was under the multi-ethnic Sunni Ottoman Empire consisting of Turks, Arabs, Kurds, Berbers, and others. The empire included the Anatolia Peninsula, much of the Arabian Peninsula, Iraq, and Syria. Over the course of the 19th and early 20th centuries, European powers worked to break Muslim unity in the Middle East by destroying the Ottoman Empire. Their goal was to split up its territories into weak states that could be easily controlled. This was a divide and conquer strategy which continues to this day. A key stage in the application of this strategy was World War I, which saw Germany and the Ottoman Empire allied against the UK, France, and the Jewish Zionist movement. The Ottoman Empire called for pan-Islamism and Sunni Shia unity such that Shia and Sunni Arabs fought together against the UK and France. But in World War I, the British had promised Arab leaders like Sharif Hussein that if they betray and revolt against the caliphate, they would reward them with a strong united Arab state. However, after Sharif Hussein led the Great Arab Revolt to backstab the Ottoman Caliphate, the Europeans reneged on their promise after the UK and France eventually won World War I. In keeping with the 1917 Balfour Declaration and the 1916 Sykes-Picot Agreement, the UK and France began dividing up Ottoman Arab lands. Some of these lands were seized to establish the Zionist Jewish state of Israel. Remaining lands were broken up into weak states of Jordan, Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, and so on. This is because the UK preferred weak, disunited states as they could be more easily controlled by the West and Israel. After World War II, the UK and France would decline and be replaced by the US. Also, by this time, the Zionist lobby was the strongest lobby in the US and directed US foreign policy in the Middle East. Israel, with US help, would continue to work to keep the Muslim areas of the Middle East divided into weak states, doing this with the help from the US government. Keeping Muslim states weak puts Israel in a position not only to dominate the region, but to gradually annex Muslim lands and establish Greater Israel. This is in keeping with Jewish religious teachings. Such teachings promise the Jews all lands between the Euphrates and Nile rivers. Jews are commanded to genocide all non-Jews in these lands in their religious texts. So that means genociding not only Palestinians, but all Lebanese, Syrians, Jordanians, as well as many inhabitants of Egypt, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia. It's evident that this makes Israel and the US, rather than Iran, the greatest danger to Muslims in the Middle East. Israel's divide and conquer policy receives classic expression in the Yinon Plan, published in 1982 by a high-ranking Israeli official. The stated aim of the Yinon Plan is to promote sectarian and ethnic conflict within Muslim-majority states. The Yinon Plan places a special emphasis on doing this in Lebanon, Iraq, and Syria. The aim is to promote Sunni-Shia conflict in Lebanon, Iraq, Syria. It's also to promote Arab-Kurdish ethnic conflict in Iraq and Syria. The Yinon Plan also fosters sectarian and ethnic conflict between Muslim-majority states, like between Arab states and Iran and Turkey. Conflict between Muslims is promoted in many ways. Israel pushes the US to sanction and invade Muslim-majority countries, weakening and collapsing the governments. With no unifying central government, the population naturally splits into sectarian and ethnic groups which fight one another to fill the power vacuum. As a result, the US attacks on the Iraqi and Syrian governments have immediately resulted in intense conflicts between Sunni and Shia, as well as Sunni Arabs and Sunni Kurds in the two countries. The US prevents Muslim-majority states from allying with one another or helping one another. Rather, the US pushes Muslim-majority states to form alliances against one another, like the Abraham Accords, which pit Sunni Arabs against Shia Iran. Since the 1980s, we have seen Lebanon, Iraq, Syria, Yemen, and elsewhere completely destroyed by sectarian and ethnic conflict. Moreover, during just the past 2 decades of the war on terror, 5 million Muslim lives have been lost in conflicts initiated or exacerbated by the US and Israel. The conflicts have also produced 38 million refugees. Israel's policy is not pro-Sunni or pro-Shi'i. It's not pro-Arab or pro-Iranian or pro-Kurd. They simply want all these groups to keep fighting one another for as long as possible, with the aim that all lose. For example, in the 1980s Iran and Iraq war between Sunnis and Shia, Israeli Prime Minister Menachem Begin famously stated that his hope was for both sides to lose by destroying each other. More recently, in the Syrian conflict, leading figures in the Israeli lobby like Daniel Pipes have said that they support neither Assad forces nor the opposition. Rather, they want to keep both sides fighting each other to create a prolonged stalemate. They argue that the US should step in to help whichever side is being defeated in order to extend the conflict as long as possible. We can say much more about how over the past 40 years, Sunni and Shi'i, as well as Arabs and non-Arabs, have been encouraged to slaughter one another. For example, in the 1980s and 90s, Saddam's Arab nationalist government killed 100,000 Sunni Kurds, 50 to 100,000 Shi'i Iraqis, and expelled more than 500,000 Shi'i Iraqis. This exemplifies the kind of Sunni sectarian ethnic cleansing associated with the views of my debate opponents today. Another case is Darfur. Between 2003 and 2020, Sunni Arabs in Sudan killed 300,000 Black African Sunnis in Darfur. In the Syrian conflict, which began in 2011, has resulted in 600,000 deaths. Here we've seen extreme Sunni sectarian violence by ISIS and other rebel forces, but we've seen far worse from Shi'i sectarian violence by the Alawi-dominated Syrian government with the help of Shi'i Iran and Hezbollah. The rebels have killed 200,000. Meanwhile, the government has killed 400,000, including huge numbers of civilians. It's a disaster. There's also the complex Yemeni conflict that's resulted in 400,000 deaths, where Sunni Saudi Arabia played a major role. Overall, there's been terrible crimes committed on all sides: Shia crimes against Sunnis, Sunni crimes against Shia, etc. Racist sectarians like my opponent only concentrate on one group of victims because if they showed you the whole picture, you would immediately recognize that the problem is sectarianism, not just the Shia. When conflict exists between Muslim groups, the Quran commands them to end hostilities and come back together. The believers are brothers, so make peace between your two brothers and be mindful of God so that they may be given mercy.
Into the opening statement from Dr. Talha as well. Thank you very much, Daniel, for that opening statement. And folks, thanks so much for being with us. Dr. Talha, the floor is all yours. This is his 5-minute rebuttal. Pardon, not his opening statement. His 5-minute rebuttal.
Yeah, it's my rebuttal, but I need to share my screen if you don't mind.
You got it.
Let me just see if I can do that. It's great how Daniel just totally ignored my points, though. Love it.
Yeah, it's an opening statement. I didn't have a psychic mind
cool,
reading. How
it's
can
cool.
I respond to your opening statement when I haven't heard it?
Because I put it all over Twitter.
You don't know how debate works. That's the problem. You don't know how debate works.
We're about to find out who knows how debates work or not.
Yeah, we do. We will. Inshallah.
All right. Can we see this? Yes. I wonder if you guys can hear my audio, but we've got subtitles on it anyway. Oh, hang on a second.
Audio is good, and
it's not my audio. It's audio from this video.
Let's see. If it's a video from YouTube, it does oftentimes trigger a copyright warning. Oh, okay.
It's not a video from YouTube. So this is actually embedded into my slide, and it's Iranian government footage. So I just want to see if it works, and you can tell me if you can hear things or not. Can you hear that?
We can't hear it yet. Even if it's let's see. If it's anywhere on YouTube, it may get copyright ding on the video. So if it's possible to paraphrase what they say, that's ideal.
It's important because I don't want Daniel to say that I'm lying about it. So I'll read along with the subtitles if you want. And this is Khomeini, the founder of the so-called Islamic Republic of Iran. So I'm going to read along with what he says. It's a minute video.
That works.
We want to save Al-Quds, Jerusalem, but we cannot do that before saving Iraq from Saddam and the Ba'ath Party. This is during the Iran-Iraq war. Lebanon has become a part of us, but we need to save Iraq before saving Lebanon. Okay, now what he's talking about there is the Iran-Iraq war, and in 1982 when Israel invaded Lebanon. Now, here's what Iraq offered. This is what Khomeini was responding to. But here's Iraq's offer. So our priorities must not get mixed up, he says. We cannot waste resources on wrong endeavors. What's the wrong endeavor? Let's see what Saddam Hussein says. And by the way, nice straw manning on me there. I never was mentioned Arab nationalism, nor am I an Arab nationalist, and you know that. But before that, the Iranians announced their readiness to send forces to face the Israelis in defense of Lebanon, if only it wasn't for the war, meaning the Iran-Iraq war. And that Iraq would never agree for our soldiers, as in Iranian soldiers, to pass through Iraq. So we issued an announcement from the Revolutionary Command Council that we would welcome the Iranian forces to go through Iraq to Lebanon in order to defend Lebanon. But at the very least, we should end the war. Or else the forces would go through to Lebanon and then besiege Baghdad. Okay? So we've actually tried Daniel's thesis. We've tried his thesis of allying with the Shiites. Yeah, we've got it right here. Saddam Hussein offered to end the war. Daniel was saying, you know, Muslim powers ought to cooperate. They shouldn't fight each other. Totally agree. Totally agree. But when it was offered to Iran, it backfired. Khomeini said, no, we're not going to be going through to, we have to destroy Saddam and Iraq first as a state. We're going to export the revolution, meaning to export the Shi'i faith. And we're going to, stomp all over the Iraqis on our way to Jerusalem, right? He's just offered you an alliance, a military pact. You go through Iraq. He rejected. Okay, next bit. This is what the Palestinian resistance say. This is Khalid Mish'al, one of the most senior Palestinian officials in Hamas. When we take support of any country, be it from Iran or from Turkey or from Qatar or from Egypt or from Syria, like we did in the past, or from any of the Gulf states, North Africa, Asian countries, or if they were supported by a country that's neither Muslim or Arab in Europe or Africa, that doesn't mean that we agree with them on everything. He supports me, and I'll fight the Zionist entity. I thank him for that. I'm praising him for the support he's given me in my battle against the Zionist occupation. This praise does not extend over to what happens in Iraq or elsewhere. So he's confirming that is Iraq and what happens to the Iraqis, and they have righteous grievances. They have rightful grievances. Look what he says. Let's imagine someone has differences with Turkey, not just Iran, or another country. Your disagreement with Iran, that is your fight and your right. I don't blame you. That's what Khalid Mish'al says, one of the most senior Hamas guys. And now we have Ismail Haniyeh, who was recently assassinated, likely with Iranian cooperation, just in July. Even when we defend what happens, I don't know if you guys saw that, because it glitched on my screen. Even when we defined our position in regards to what happened and is happening in Syria, we did so because we can't stand with a regime, meaning the Assad regime, that kills its own people. And for those who stood with us, is what is righteous, we cannot stand with them in falsehood. So Daniel just has a bunch of arguments that are straw manning my position. He's basically claiming that I'm an Arab nationalist. There's literally nothing at all where I've actually praised Arab nationalism. In fact, I've criticized Arab nationalism severally and numerously. He also lies about my position on, he says I'm not an ISIS member. Thanks for confirming that, Dan. I really appreciate it. But he says that I'm happy when they kill the Shia. No, that's not what happened. If you read my tweet, what I said was, it looks like they bit off more than they can chew, which they did. And by the way, there were no men, women, and children there. It was just military forces in Camp Spiker. Dan wouldn't know that because he doesn't know jack about the Middle East or geopolitics, as we're finding out today. And similarly, we get happy when any oppressor is harmed or otherwise killed. By the way, Hezbollah bit off more than they can chew with Israel. It doesn't mean I like Israel. Daniel already said I'm not necessarily an ISIS. I'm not an ISIS member, and I don't support ISIS. But I was happy that they killed XYZ. Cool, whatever. That's his opinion. But when Hezbollah was also attacked by Israel, it doesn't mean I like Israel, but I was happy when Israel absolutely mauled them. And I would be happy if they did it again and again and again. Because these people went into Syria, went into Iraq, they slaughtered, raped, tortured children, and now Daniel has the temerity to say, these are our allies. We need to be to resolve differences between them, between each other, and then we must march together on Palestine to liberate it. How can we march with people that have been raping us, killing us, slaughtering us, and on top of that, when it was offered to them in the past, they refused. Saddam made it very clear. He said, come through, we will stop the war, we will stop the fighting one another, we will focus our efforts on Israel. Khomeini said, no, it's a waste of resources. I want to destroy your country first. Over to you.
You got it. Thank you very much. Daniel, we'll kick it to you for your 5-minute rebuttal, and the floor is all
Can I
yours.
share my screen
You bet.
before you start the clock? Okay, so notice that Talha and Wissam earlier, they concede that 12ers are Muslim. So they've been grandstanding for weeks now that the Shia are not Muslim, but when it comes to the debate, now suddenly they think that the lay people of the Shia are Muslim. Wow, what a surprise. Then he's talking about Ahl al-Baghi and the fiqh of fighting the rebellious groups. Interesting. Wissam calls Hussein, the grandson of the Prophet ﷺ, as Ahl al-Baghi in one of those tweets that I shared. So that's an interesting coincidence. But he says that if someone is violently engaging Muslims, then you can fight him. Okay, then what about Saddam? Should the Muslims have united to fight Saddam? Should the Muslims have united to fight Saudi because Saudi was involved in the mass killing of many Yemeni Muslims? What about in Jordan? What about in all of these other Sunni countries? What about the Sunni Arabs in Sudan who killed 300,000 black Sunni Muslims? Should there be fighting of all of these groups? You only have one group that you pay attention to because you're a racist sectarian. You only look at the crimes committed by Iran, which I've conceded. I acknowledge that Sunnis should resist the Shia in Syria. I have said that openly because they're committing injustice. So Muslims should be fighting against injustice. And ironically, that's exactly what the Palestinian leaders that you're playing their video of, like Ismail Haniyeh, that's exactly what they're saying as well. They agree with my position, not your position. So we ally with Shia based on Quranic proofs. This proves that you're ignorant of fiqh, you're ignorant of usul. Fiqh is not nullified. The principles of the Quran and the Sunnah are not nullified by historical events. This is a basic principle of Islam, and you're ignorant of it. You cited that Shia Iraqis view Sunni as kuffar. Well, so did you. You viewed the Shia as kuffar, except until this debate. Suddenly, magically, you changed your mind right before the debate happened. Your whole presentation was just a list of atrocities of Iran, which, again, I condemn. The problem is you have complete ignorance of all the other atrocities committed by Arab Sunnis. So this is racism. You're a racist. I condemn the Shia atrocities in Syria, in Iraq, wherever they may be. You call Saddam Hussein a hero. What about his atrocities? Here's your tweet. You're talking about Saddam. His death was honorable. He didn't cower. He mocked his enemies in the face of death, and he said the shahada. So yes, you got to hand it to Saddam. Well, the Shia also say the shahada. So what about Saddam's mass killings? He killed over 100,000 Sunni Kurds. He killed 50 to 100,000 Shi'i Iraqis. What about his? The ironic thing is you acknowledge that he's a mass murderer. Okay, you acknowledge that he was a secularist and a Ba'athist, but you say that he is a hero. You say that he is a hero. So is Qasem Soleimani a hero? Qasem Soleimani of Iran also says the shahada. Is he a hero, Talha? If Saddam is a hero. So the difference between me and you is that I cite stats and figures. You just have anecdotes, okay? What about any anecdotes about the children murdered by Saddam in Iraq? What about the children and women killed by Sunni Arabs in Darfur? What about the Yemeni Muslims killed by Saudi? What about them? You have not a tear to shed for anyone else. Why? Because it's Arabs perpetrating those crimes, because you're an Arab nationalist and a racist. Tell me, Talha, how many Sunnis were killed by Saddam in Iraq? Can you acknowledge that? Can you, because according to your principles, that makes him Ahlul Baghi, makes him someone who is a terrorist extremist, right? Saddam Hussein. So should have Muslims. So maybe Iran was doing a service to the Ummah by fighting Saddam, who invaded Kuwait, who gassed thousands of Sunni Kurds. Maybe Iran was doing a service, according to your logic, right? So how many Shia were killed by ISIS in Iraq? That's a good question for you to answer. You were celebrating that massacre that happened, the biggest ISIS massacre of in its history. You had a thumbs up for that because they're killing Shia. So tell me, how many total Shia have been killed by ISIS in Iraq? And do you agree with that? And then shockingly, you say you're happy that Israel is mauling Shia in Lebanon. So you're happy about the pager attack, Israel's pager attack. You're happy about that. And then they mauled them. You're happy. You're thrilled. You're dancing and celebrating, right? You were dancing and celebrating on Twitter. The death is the, should we dance and celebrate the death of Saddam when they dragged him out of the hole that he was hiding in like a coward? Should we celebrate that as well? Why the double standards, Talha?
We will kick it into the open dialogue. So this is going to be the same in that it'll be 1 minute per speaker. Gentlemen, thank you very much. The floor is all yours.
Let me just share my screen for old Danny boy here, seeing as he likes to cite facts and figures and I don't. Hilarious. Okay, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, this is a book by Stephen C. Pelletier, who was a former CIA analyst, retired, and then latterly, or very quite recently, died. So here he says, and this is, by the way, early on in the invasion of Iraq, he says 15,000 Iranian agents, members of the so-called Badr brigades, crossed over into Iraq from Iran. These so-called brigadistas infiltrated the major cities and towns of Iraq, most notably Iraq's second city, Basra. Adventitiously, or so it seemed, the Badr Brigade contingent materialized, offered to assist the British to take control of the city. So these are the guys that we're supposed to ally with and who are helping foreign occupation. He's blaming, he's saying, the West, they're making everyone kill each other. We need to come to terms. We need to relax. We need to, all of this stuff. And yet it's them, his buddies, that are crossing the border from Iran into Iraq in order to kill us Sunnis, which he doesn't care about. He talks about siding with the Iranians against Israel. Let me quote Shrita Parsi. Daniel will be very familiar with him. He's an Iranian lobbyist. No, it's not, buddy. So sit down. All in all, according to Ahmed al-Haidari,
1 minute.
According to Ahmed al-Haidari, an Iranian arms dealer working for the Khomeini regime, roughly 80% of the weaponry bought by Tehran immediately after the onset of the war originated in Israel. That's astonishing, Daniel. Go ahead and answer.
Yeah, you think that Iran is the greatest threat to the Middle East and to Sunnis, but you ignore, and you just, again, you can't address the actual logic of the argument. So every time you open your mouth, you're just proving my point. You can only list atrocities from Iran, and you keep saying, they're my friends. How are they my friends when I'm condemning those atrocities? So for the next 30 minutes, are you going to keep saying that, oh, look at what else Iran did? What about what Saddam did? Saddam killed 100,000 Sunni Kurds, gassed them. Do you have a tear to shed for the Sunni Kurds? Or are you such a Saddam? Oh, there you go. There's an interruption already.
Oh,
are you such a Saddam fanboy that you can't even say one word against your hero? You praised him as your hero. And you acknowledge that he's a mass murderer. So you have don't pretend like you have the moral high ground. This is not.
Oh, I do.
Don't prove that you have the moral high ground. Like you're so offended by Iran's atrocities when you're just whitewashing Saddam Hussein and praising him because he said the Shahada. Like that's how ignorant you are. You don't know that he's the head of the secular Ba'athists. That's kufr. How many scholars have made takfir of
time,
Saddam?
Daniel, time. So may Allah curse whoever gassed my Kurdish Sunni brothers. And for your information, Saddam Hussein tortured my father, and that's the reason why I have this British accent. And I imagine you have an American accent because you ran away from, is it Khomeini? Is it the Shah? I don't know, but your father works for Boeing and sells the weapons that bomb Palestinian kids. So you're in no position to talk about the moral high ground, my friend. Pipe down. Now, you're saying, do I shed a tear for the Yemenis? I've authored articles on them, criticizing what was going on, criticizing the siege, criticizing what was happening in terms of their starvation. Do you have anything to say about the Houthis? Or no, they fired a couple of dud rockets towards Israel. Are you serious, Daniel? Are you serious? Grow up. I've shown you facts and figures of where Iran is cooperating with Israel. They are taking money from Israel, and then they're building, Israel is building with Iranian money, settlements on Palestinian land. Answer that, Daniel. How is that okay with you? Do you want to see the evidence for that?
Time.
Yeah, look at how he has to start attacking my family. He personally attacks my father. My father doesn't make any weapons for anyone. Just slander and lies from Talha. So this is shocking that you'd actually
from Daniel Haqiqa Jew.
Come on, James. Come on. I'll interrupt him every single minute as well.
Dr. Talha, we do need to have the 1 minutes broken apart so that there's no interruptions.
My apologies, Daniel. Please do go ahead.
Yeah, so he insults my family, but again, he has nothing to say about all of the atrocities committed by Sunni states who are allied with Israel. Sunni states are allying with Israel, normalizing relations through the Abraham Accords, and that's resulting in the current genocide of Palestinians, over 300,000 being slaughtered with the acceptance of these many of these Sunni governments. Talha has nothing to say about that. Is it because he's being paid by them? I wonder. He has the moral high ground, but he has nothing to say about any other Sunni state, only Iran. I, on the other hand, acknowledge the crimes of Iran and the Sunni states. I am even-handed. Wherever someone is violating the lives of Muslims and the Quran and Sunnah, I call it out. Talha is a racist, sectarian extremist. He only focuses on Iran.
And
that's the problem with Talha.
Time, Daniel. Right. Aside from your BS acknowledgement of Iranian crimes, what's the solution after that? What's the solution? You don't say anything. Just, I condemn. I condemn. You sound like a hashtag me too. I condemn. That's all you are, Daniel. Your phrases, you're these like kind of vague aphorisms. You don't know what to say because you have nothing to say. You've got no moral ground to stand on. You're saying I haven't condemned. In the previous segment, that 1 minute that I had, I cursed whoever was responsible for gassing the Kurds. If that was Saddam, who tortured my father, by the way, his regime tortured my father, or if that was the Iranians using F-4 Phantoms to drop chemical munitions on Iraqi civilians, Sunni Kurdish civilians, my brothers, not yours. Now, you say also that, again, you repeat, I don't have any criticisms. You know for a fact how many articles I've written against these Arab regimes. Don't lie to your audience, Daniel. It's shameful. It's shameful. Counter me on the facts. Counter me on the fact, and I'm going to share my screen right now. Right now, just so that you can see the evidence. And then I'm not going to say anything. I'm just going to show you the evidence. Yeah, so that way I don't eat into your minute. So it says here, just a moment. The screen is in the way. I'll show you the evidence.
I'll give you a chance to make this point.
It's right here. The third and last main purpose for the slush fund money was to finance the housing projects in the West Bank and Gaza Strip for Jewish settlers who had been taking over Palestinian land there. That's what Iranian money bought, Daniel. It bought settlements in Israel. Are you proud of yourself? Are you proud of your buddies?
Daniel, you have a minute to respond.
Yeah, like I said, if Saddam gassed the Sunni Kurds, you like to cite Amnesty International and Human Rights Watch against Iran. Human Rights Watch says that Saddam gassed the Sunni Kurds. Human Rights Watch says that Saddam killed 50 to 100,000 Shia Iraqis. That's what your sources claim. So why can't, it's now conspiracy theory. If Saddam killed anyone, how many people did Saddam kill? Can you say that? Can you tell me the total figures? You said that you cite statistics and facts. Give me that citation. I gave you numbers and you can't dispute them. You just have a conspiracy theory that no, it was actually Iran. Everything bad that happens in the Middle East is actually Iran secretly. Like, this is a joke. I can't believe that you consider yourself a geopolitical analyst. Let's see.
I'm not. I'm a doctor.
Yeah, be silent, please, Mr. Potato Head. So then,
oh, he's gone into the ad hominem.
I do need to keep
Mr.
it. I do
Potato
need
Head.
to keep it distinct. I don't want to mute you guys during each interval, but good.
Yeah,
Daniel, you've got maybe
every
about
single
10
time
seconds.
I talk, he interrupts me. So every minute he has an interruption to make. So anyway, if we want to look at your articles that you've written here, let me share my screen now, James.
I'll give you a really quick chance to make this point, Daniel, and then we'll kick it over to Dr. Talha.
Yeah, it's a real quick point.
I hope it's a zinger, Daniel. I hope it's a zinger.
Yeah, you'll love this. You'll really love this.
I love this one. This is great.
This is your article. Iran is what the Islamic State will look like if it succeeds. And here you say, shocking child marriages in Iran.
Yeah.
Iran allows the marriage of girls between 10 and 12. This is legalized pedophilia. It's frightening, horrifying, and despicable. Do you think marriage for girls under 14 is pedophilia? Do you think that the Prophet ﷺ was committing horrifying, frightening, despicable pedophilia? Talha, can you please explain why your article on Middle East Eye is up here calling marriage with females under the age of 14 as shocking pedophilia?
Dr. Talha to respond for a minute.
Well, he's asking me to answer questions about Iraq and then talking about pedophilia. Listen, Daniel, I promise you, if you survive this debate with your reputation intact, I will debate you on each of those points. But don't distract the audience from the fact that you know Jack.
It's pedophilia.
Yeah, Jack. No. Let's finish this.
Why can't you say it's not pedophilia?
There you go. There you go. Who's interrupting?
Yeah, taste your own medicine. Bitter medicine.
No. I'm making you taste your medicine, and everyone's loving it.
We have to refocus. Go ahead. You got about 40 seconds, Dr. Talha.
So we're talking about pedophilia and whatever. He's just trying to distract from the subject. He's trying to mudsling. And yeah, the people in your country, I'm afraid, are pedophiles. Sorry. And you're supporting, by the way, a law in Iraq that allows 9-year-olds to be married. Yeah, 9-year-old girls, little girls, to be married off to pedophile, dirty clerics. Yeah, and other sick, disgusting people. These are your people that you want to ally us with. But let's move on. Let's deal with the subject at hand. Why can't you answer the points that I brought up? Why is it okay for Israel, for Palestinians to criticize Israel, but if we criticize Iran and we want to fight them, because you mentioned, okay, they must be fought in Syria, but you didn't mention Iraq. Why is that, Daniel? What do you have against Iraqis? Are you a racist Persian? Are you still bitter about what happened in the Iran-Iraq war?
And time.
Yeah, I literally did mention Iraq. I literally condemned the crimes of Iran and Iraq. Like, these are really stupid points as usual. So yeah, let's you notice the audience. He didn't clarify and say that, no, it's not disgusting pedophilia for the Prophet ﷺ to marry Aisha radiallahu anha when she's 6 years old. He didn't clarify that. You know why? Because he's a deviant. This guy is not even a Sunni. He only LARPs as a Sunni. He's actually a racist sectarian. Look at what, here, let me share my screen once more. James, if you can.
You got it, ready?
Yeah, look at what Talha says. When I criticize Israel, he calls me basically an anti-Semite. He says, oh, Daniel is obsessed with the Jews, right? Is that because you love getting on these Zionist news programs, Talha, on Sky News, and you like to talk about how the U.S. should bomb Iran and kill Shia Muslims? You don't want to lose your cushy spot, right, on Sky News and wherever else on these Zionist platforms. So where's your criticism of the Talmud? Where's your criticism of Judaism? Nothing to say about that, right? But if
is he going to be
I'm
quiet?
an anti-Semite.
Is he going to be quiet? You said time. It's been about 20 seconds, and I demand that time back.
It's probably more like 10. I'll give you 10 if you want.
Can I share my screen again, please?
Sure.
Now, this has been quite heated, but I want to say this with all due sensitivity. Because, Daniel, what I want you to do, and forget all the back and forth between us. Don't interrupt.
It has to go to my family,
don't
right?
Interrupt.
It has to go to my family.
Don't
you
interrupt.
have to go and attack my sister, my father.
I'm not going to attack your sister.
You want to attack my aunts? You want to attack my cousins?
I do have to...
you want to mute him?
What is this?
That minute.
Mute him.
I criticize your writings. I didn't criticize your family.
This is your writings.
That minute.
Yeah, you're criticizing my family.
No, I'm not criticizing your family.
You're a scumbag.
I gotta mute you.
Yeah. He keeps interrupting. He's interrupted me as soon as I turned on my screen, and I demand that full time. Because I am not attacking your sister, you disgusting person. I am making dua for her to be found safe and sound. Because I want you also to empathize. What happened to you? What happened to Donna was disgusting. It's horrible. The person who did this to her should have been put to death. That's what I think. Now, I'm sensitive towards you and your family. I commiserate with you. I empathize with you. Why can you not do the same for the Sunnis who have been absolutely brutalized by the Iranian regime and its Shia terrorist network? They traffic women across borders. Do you realize what they're doing? I'm sure you do, because we've mentioned this to you privately even. I've even told you several times about the crimes that they've committed, the rape, the torture. Imagine if that was your sister and you have some inkling of what everyone else is going through, and yet you call us cucks. That's what you call us, cuckolds, because we have ghaira for our sisters and we don't wish to ally with those who rape them and violate them. But you don't care. You say, oh, what happens in Syria? Okay, what next? Who cares? Who cares? You say that. It's in one of your videos where you said, who cares? You know, what next? Where do we go after this?
Yeah, just pure lies. You're the one who can't condemn when Sunnis commit rape, when Sunnis commit crimes. You're the one who can't condemn. I condemn Iran. No, you didn't. You said that Saddam, if you do condemn them equally, then your whole argument falls apart, because then Iran is not the threat, the exclusive threat. All of these governments have committed atrocities. So you're too stupid to understand the implications of condemning everyone equally. I showed you all the numbers. Iran isn't the main perpetrator of atrocities and death in the Middle East. So if you do equally condemn, your whole argument falls apart, because it's not just Iran that's a threat. All of these governments are a threat. My position is that we need to move forward exactly like the Palestinian resistance is doing. We need to unite on what is, or ally on the greater threat, which is Israel and the US. That's the position of Yahya Sinwar, Ismail Haniyeh, the Palestinians. That's our position. Your position is racism. Your position is this disgusting Arab supremacy. That's what we're condemning. It's trash. Your views are trash. And then you attack my family. What? How disgusting! How disgusting are you?
I prayed for your sister. I prayed for your sister. I didn't attack her. Can I have my time now?
You show her on the screen. You talk about my father.
It's your website. It's your website.
You talk about my
father.
Website.
You wrote about your sister.
This is so disgusting.
It's your website.
We'll kick it over to Dr. Talha. So 1 minute.
Yeah, I need to be able to speak. Can I share the screen, please, again?
Yes.
So he's saying we're taking the Palestinian position. The Palestinian position, as far as the resistance groups are concerned, is a one-state solution. You've probably frequently heard the refrain from the river to the sea. I'm wondering if Daniel believes in that. But we've got in Iran, where they signed just a month after the war kicked off, a UN General Assembly resolution recognizing the two-state solution. Yeah, I'm not saying that's right. I'm not saying it's wrong. But they have blatantly said that, oh no, we have a position of a one-state solution. Now, as recently as 5th of November 2024, and it was actually earlier than this, but The Guardian called it late, the Hawza in Qom, okay, this is like senior clerical Shi'i clerics, and backed by the state, you know, it's directly relevant. They support the formation of a two-state solution for Israel and Palestine. So they keep changing their positions. We don't know where they stand. And they still commit crimes against us. They are aggressors to this day. And yet we're supposed to understand where they're coming from. We're supposed to take an offer of alliance that they have never even made, by the way. They've never made an offer of an alliance. And then we have to hear some numpty like Daniel constantly, oh, I condemn. But what next, Daniel? And I didn't lie, by the way. I have the YouTube clip of you saying, what happens next? Okay, Iran did bad things. Hezbollah did bad things. But what about what happens next?
Yeah, so look at the screen. It's reformist clerics. So these are the liberals who are saying two-state solution. The leaders of Iran are the religious hardliners like Khamenei, and they're at war with Israel. Furthermore, the Saudi state, UAE, these Sunni states, which are also Ahlul Bid'ah, by the way, these governments, they are also in favor of a two-state solution. So why can't you, like, this is all of your critiques of Iran apply 10 times over to these other states. But if that's the case, then Iran is not a unique threat. You don't get the implication. So Iran is not the unique threat. Everything that you point out about Iran is not unique to Iran or the Shia. It is shared by all these Sunni states. So your critique is like nothing. It's like hot air constantly. Here, let me share my screen, James.
Okay.
So again, Talha is a deviant. He has mocked the Sharia. He's calling me and Muhammad hijab. We're talking about how the family courts in the UK and the West are violating the rights of Muslim men, and he calls us vulgar names, red pill expletive, me and Muhammad hijab, and then he puts Kafir courts in quotes, in scare quotes. You don't believe that the Kafir courts are illegitimate, Talha?
Why do you live in the US?
I'm wondering, like, why are you mocking the Sharia? This is disgusting.
Give Dr. Talha a chance to respond.
Was that 1 minute, James?
Yeah, you see, you blabber too much, so you don't realize.
Go ahead.
I'm trying to share my screen. Is it working?
It's not up yet.
It's not up.
So that's the difference between me and you. You attack my family. What? I just present your tweets.
No. Who told you to talk? Who told you to talk?
We're just waiting. It's empty time.
Pipe down, boy.
Is your time going?
Pipe down.
Is your time going? Is your time going right now?
I know why you're like this.
We're just waiting for. Where's your screen? Bring the screen. Do you need help? You need tech support? You need tech support?
Actually need tech support. Would you like to offer yourself? You're going to be out of a job after this.
Yeah, I am. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Right. Can I have my minute now?
Show your screen.
Ready for you.
Daniel says that these were the reformists.
Your screen's not showing, just to be sure.
I don't need to. That's fine. That's fine. I don't need it right now. Daniel says that the two-state solution was from reformist clerics only in the Hausa. I just told him that in the UN General Assembly in November, when they put forward a motion for a two-state solution, Iran was a signatory. Then, when Saudi Arabia, the country that Daniel hates so much, put forward an Organization of the Islamic Conference emergency session, they also posited a return to the 1967 borders, i.e. the two-state solution. Guess who was a signatory? Iran. All of that is documented. All of it is factual. Don't shake your head, Daniel. Don't shake your head.
It's not
factual.
Iran. It's not Iran, just Iran.
No, I agree with you.
The OIC.
Yes,
all
okay.
The OIC countries.
The OIC.
You're pointing it out as if it's like some unique crime of Iran.
Let me finish. I'm not saying it's a crime. I'm not saying a crime. I'm saying they have the same policy. The difference between them is Saudi Arabia is not burning Iraq to the ground and leveling Mosul and leaving 40,000 dead people under the rubble. It's not destroying Aleppo and killing hundreds of thousands of people in Syria and aiding and abetting the Alawite Kafir Bashar al-Assad. It's not doing that, is it? Neither is the United Arab Emirates. Neither is Qatar. No one's doing that except your buddies that you want us to be allied with. Why don't you explain that, Daniel? Why can't you explain it? You cannot address the points. All the points that I've made, you've just resorted to ad hominems. You've gone into the family courts of the UK. What does that have to do with Iran?
End time, yeah. So everything that you're pointing out, all of these other states are doing. These Sunni, quote unquote Sunni, because they're deviants, they are allying with Israel, normalizing with Israel in order to perpetuate a genocide. All the Muslims, the whole Ummah is aware of who is defending and protecting Israel right now. And it's not Iran. Iran, you want to say that they're doing fireworks shows or whatever, something that all of the geopolitical analysts in the West say, no, Iran is a serious threat to Israel. You think it's a paper tiger. But guess what? That's being a paper tiger is better than being some of these Sunni regimes that are allying with Israel to perpetuate a genocide of Palestinians. You don't have a tear to shed for those crimes. Why? Because they're Sunni and they're Arab. Because you're a racist. Everyone can see that. Everyone can see that. And you can just pop out your chest. Do you want to mention my
I'm laughing at you because you're silly.
You want to mention my mom? You want to mention my cousins? You've already mentioned my dad and my sister. Who else? What else do you want to sludge up?
Do you want to go up to the family courts again?
And time. We'll kick it over
to represents your kufr views.
No. Oh, so I'm a kafir, am I? See,
he can't make takfir. When you mock the Sharia,
whoa.
You missed.
We'll kick it over.
Daniel. No. Hang on a second. Daniel cannot make takfir on many of the Shia. Yeah. But me, known for my Sunnism, by the way, I am the kafir according to him. Daniel, whatever you are,
I did not call you a kafir.
Be quiet. You just said I'm a kafir. You literally just said
your kufr views. Play it back.
Yeah, okay.
Your kufr views. You're too stupid
to
understand.
I need to share the screen.
We'll give it 1 minute for Dr. Talha.
He's not allowing me to talk. So, you know, he keeps complaining and crying, but he's not allowing me to talk. So here it is. Iranian President Masoud Pezeshkian, your boy. If the Palestinians decide on a two-state solution, we will accept it, but our position is that there should be a referendum. And in his speech, and it's a 2-minute video and I don't have time, but he speaks to Al Jazeera and he confirms the whole idea of a two-state solution. That's the current president of Iran. Yeah, so much for just reformists. Yes, but he's a reformist candidate. Guess what? He represents the foreign policy of your country. He is in cahoots with them. There are 529 military bases and checkpoints, all run by Iran in Syria. You have nothing to say about that. I'm telling you, I condemn any atrocities by Sunni regimes against anyone, whether it's Kurds, whether it's Yemenis, whether it's anyone else. By the way, the Yemenis also killed by the Shia, your friends. Yeah? You have nothing to say about them. You don't care about them, do you, Daniel? You just want to prove a point. You want to seem like the big tough guy on TV, but you're not, because you rejected to face me in an in-person debate because you're a coward.
Yeah,
Daniel.
sure. Yeah. So again, I didn't takfir you. I say you have kufr views. If you paid attention when you're hiding behind your hijab in the first debate, in the first part of the debate, if you paid attention, having kufr views does not automatically make you a kafir. So when you, for example, condemn females marrying under 14 as legalized pedophilia that is horrifying, that is kufr. That's a kufr belief, because that is what the Sharia allows, and you call it legalized pedophilia. That's horrifying and shocking and despicable. That is a kufr view. Now, does that make you a kafir? No, because you're an ignoramus. You have the excuse al-udhr bil-jahl, and therefore you're excused. But now I've explained it to you. If you persist on that females marrying under 14 is pedophilia and it's disgusting and horrifying, and the Prophet marrying the Aisha radiallahu anha is horrifying, then you're a kafir. Is that clear? Have I explained the fiqh of takfir to you, Talha?
Do you need me now?
You want a private course? I can give you a private course as well.
Yeah, listen, the only thing you need a private course in is not going after and molesting children, apparently. Right.
Wow. So, okay. So now I'm a pedophile. Great.
Well, you support it, buddy. You support it.
Oh, so it's pedophilia. See, so it's pedophilia.
I'm not going to go down that route.
I'm not going down that route.
I'm not going
down that route.
No. Let's talk about Iran.
So you don't acknowledge that it's kufr.
Let's talk about Iran.
You don't acknowledge that it's kufr. What does Wissam think? Wissam.
No. Back to Iran. Stop. See, you're hiding.
I think it was. Do I remember right? I actually sincerely forgot. It's just moving so fast. Was it the last 1-minute intervals from Dr. Talha, and now Daniel 1-minute interval?
That's it.
Okay, go ahead, Daniel.
Yeah, so
1 minute.
This is no. He's had his minute.
Oh, it was just Daniel that finished.
Yeah, that was Daniel. He's just
okay.
Hard
then
to could you not tell the verbal diarrhea?
Dr. Talha, floor is all yours.
Listen. This is the final minute?
No, it's not the final one, but we are getting close.
Okay. Again, Daniel distracts. Every single time I bring up something that Iran did, and even though I condemn the Sunni Arab regimes, he says, but what about the English family courts? Are you insane? We're talking about Iran. We're talking about making alliances with Iran and its Shia terrorist network. Yeah? And you're bringing it up to Sunni Kurds. And by the way, the Sunni Kurds, and Saddam was a Sunni himself, so it's not a sectarian strife or bloodshed, by the way, you ignoramus. Yeah, and it just shows again how little you know about the realities on the ground. You don't understand anything about the region, Daniel. You don't know what's going on. You don't know head from rear end. That's the issue with you, because you're all rear end. So we need to get to the bottom of this. Why do you think it's okay for Sunni women to be raped and murdered and killed? And you just say, I condemn. But what are you going to do about it, Daniel? Why should we ally with these people that are raping us? How can we ally with them against Israel when they're currently killing us? They're currently raping our women. They're currently making our children into orphans. But you don't care. You don't care because they're your countrymen and they are your co-religionists.
We've got, actually, you are astute. You're good on the time. We are actually just about there. So given that Dr. Talha had the first 1-minute interval, we'll let Daniel, you can have the last one, and then we'll wrap up.
Make it a good one, Dan.
Yeah, so Saddam is not Sunni. He's at best Ahlul Bid'ah. A deviant like you wouldn't know that. Again, if you want to criticize Iran and you also criticize, so you say, how can Sunnis ally with Iran when Iran is committing so many crimes? Well, how can Sunnis ally with any of these states? That's the thing. You're trying to saddle.
No one's calling for alliance.
Come on, James.
Just
give
you.
Me time.
No one's calling for an alliance.
I do have to give Daniel this last.
Okay.
Yeah, so if the position is that you condemn all of these regimes, and so Sunnis cannot ally with anyone, they just have to be isolated in their countries, just sitting ducks for Israel to come and just clean out the Middle East, establish greater Israel, because we can't ally with anyone. That's the implication of your position. We can't ally with Saudi, we can't ally with Jordan, we can't ally with Egypt, we can't ally with Morocco, we can't ally with Bahrain, with UAE, we can't ally with Kuwait, we can't ally with anyone because they've all have blood on their hands. So we have to just be sitting ducks. No, I don't want us to be defenseless sitting ducks. I want a pan-Islamist bloc, Muslim countries united to stop the aggression from the US and Israel. That's literally genociding Muslims as we speak. I have a plan. I do have a recommendation for what to do. You're the one who doesn't. You're muted, buddy. No one can hear your babble. So Iran
just
is
5 seconds.
So my position is pan-Islamist. I gave you a solution. You have no solution. You want us to be genocided.
And time. We want to say, folks, if you'd like to hear more from our guests, they are all linked in the description box. Highly encourage you. You can find Daniel's, Dr. Tallha's,
So did
and
Saudi.
Dr. Wassam's
Yes, they did.
links
True.
in the description box,
So did Iraq.
including at the podcast.
How did Iraq invade Iraq?
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Daniel, Dr. Tallha, and Dr. Wassam. It has been a true pleasure to
by
have
the
you
way,
here today.
if I'm open to a Q&A with the audience, I'm open. I know these guys are scared, but I'm open to
Daniel.
a Q&A.
Oh no.
So if anyone wants to do a Q&A, please, on my channel, I'm
do
open
it on your
to
own
that.
channel, buddy.
These guys are scared. They have to run
No one
away.
cares. No, we don't. We just like I
you
said,
are.
Daniel, if you survive this with your reputation intact, we'll do some more debates, yeah?
Okay. Tell us more about legalized pedophilia, how the Sharia
Tell us more about the English
pedophilia.
courts when we're talking about Iran.
Tell us
the
how
English
the Catholic
That might
courts
be
are so good.
a fine note
Tell
to
us more
wrap
about
up
that.
on. So I want to say thank you guys. It's been a true pleasure to have you, Daniel, and Dr. Talha, and Dr. Wassam. And folks, if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. At Modern Day Debate, our vision is to provide a neutral platform so that everybody can make their case on a level playing field. So hit that subscribe button, as we have got work to do and we are excited about the future. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I'll be back in a moment with a post-credit scene, letting you know about upcoming debates.
I'll
folks.
be here too for a post-credit scene.
One last
Sorry.
thank you to Daniel, Dr. Talha, and Dr. Wassam.
Thank you.
Stick around, folks. I'll be back in about 19 seconds.
Yeah. I'm that guy. Get out of here. We're dancing in the street. There's nothing.
Ladies and gentlemen, want to say thanks so much for your support. And if you know it, I'm your host, Dr. James Coons. I want to say we hope you feel welcome, whether you be Christian, atheist, Muslim, you name it. We're glad that you're here. And I'm going to tell you, we are excited about the future. Why? Well, I'll tell you. Because in particular, one, I don't think I got to share this yet. I'm surprised. So it's just been first, you guys, this is an unofficial, you can say official because it is real. Thank you. We crossed over the 200,000 subscriber mark. This is amazing. We couldn't be more excited. We want to say thank you. This is still just the beginning of our story. Modern Day Debate has so much work to do. People on YouTube want a debate channel where it's totally fair. In other words, not just neutral moderation, but if a debater goes on a channel, they don't want to promote a channel that disagrees with them. So, for example, like a Christian and a Muslim, or an atheist and a Muslim, if one of them goes on an atheist channel and it's to have a debate, and let's say whether it be a Muslim or a Christian, they might say, well, why would I want to go and debate on their channel? Their channel usually puts out videos that say my views are stupid. So why would I want to go on there and debate? Because I'm, by going on there, kind of providing them content that grows their channel. And it's a channel that I inherently disagree with. That doesn't make sense. Modern Day Debate is different. YouTube deserves a better class of debate channel, and we're going to give it to them. We have zero, and when I mean zero, thanks for your feedback on my mic, turning it up right now. We have zero videos that are one position videos. We don't think there's anything wrong with that. There's nothing immoral or anything like that. But like I said, when it comes to debate platforms, we want to have a channel where everybody has full fairness, both in terms of the moderation, but also in terms of the videos. We only put out debates. So if we have anybody taking any position on modern day debate, we are going to make sure that the other side is being represented as well. That's it, period. So it's not like me making videos where I go, oh man, that Muslim or that atheist, that Christian, they did such a bad job. Oh, their arguments were so bad. No, no, no. We don't do that here. If you guys want to do that in the old, what's it called? Comment section. It's been a long day. I didn't get I can tell pretty quickly after I wake up if I didn't get a great night of sleep because I can just like my brain will get things turned around. But I want to say hello to you in the old live chat. Thanks for being a subscriber. I know that if you're in the live chat, I know that you are a subscriber. And so I do want to say thank you for that. If you're in the live chat and able to post because we have subscribers only mode. So I want to say thank you, Ahad, Faisal, thanks for being a subscriber. Sky, thanks for being a subscriber. Seventh Angel, glad to have you here. And thanks for being a subscriber. Anathema, thank you for being a mod. Great work. Thank you for all of our mods. Ryan, thy mod, is also in the live chat. Thank you for Max. He's a regular mod. Robin V, thanks for being a member. It means more than you know. Seriously, we appreciate that. Thanks, Anathema, for gifting that membership to Robin V. Right, you are, Ken. Thanks for being with us. I see you there in the chat. Yes, happy to have you here. Mohammed's, thanks for coming by. I see you there. Daughter of the Most High, thanks for being a subscriber here at Modern Day Debate. And the Republic, thanks for being a subscriber. Seriously, appreciate that. ZMHH, thank you for being a subscriber. And I got to tell you, we do push subscribing pretty hard. Like we'll flip on the subscribers only mode. A lot of channels do that, but we also constantly remind people the reason is I got to tell you, we want to get bigger guests on Modern Day Debate all the time. We still want to have our regular guests. Don't get me wrong. We're grateful for them. They have made Modern Day Debate as good as it is. Like they've made this amazing. Seriously. We also want to get new guests. When new guests look at Modern Day Debate, because I have in my auto signature on my email, it's got Modern Day Debate, the link for the YouTube channel. So if a new guest is considering, they're like, who's this James Coons guy that reached out to me? Do I want to go on his channel? They'll probably look first at, you guessed it, how many subscribers does this channel have? So let's say they're a famous speaker or something like that, or a famous, quasi-famous, internet famous YouTuber. They're like, I want to go on there. I don't, because a lot of them, they're thinking, well, it's worth my while if I'm going to go on this channel. If they've got a lot of subscribers, that's new exposure for them to grow their platform, their channel, their podcast. So that's probably the first thing that they look at. And so we do appreciate you guys. It really does help us more than other channels, for real, because Modern Day Debate is relying on that more than if you're a normal, if it's a normal YouTuber, there's some, street cred that comes along with having a high subscriber count, but not the same way as for Modern Day Debate, where we have to go out and we have to ask new people to come on. And that's the first number they'll look at. I don't know if this is still streaming. It shows. I desperately have to go to the bathroom. Give me 1 second. I'm hoping the page will reload because it looks like it's frozen. 2 seconds. Don't worry, I'm still here. I'm still here. Okay. Thanks for your patience. Can you see me? There I am. This is my, can you tell this is my mini fridge? Okay. I have my little smoothie here. Yeah, thanks for your patience. All right. I have a tremendous little smoothie. Sky, thanks for your kind words. Says you have a tremendous platform. Let me just see if the page is reloading yet. Has anybody else noticed that? Like in the last week, YouTube, I've just had like so many trouble challenges reloading the page. Someone told me that YouTube is like rolling out some new stuff and they warned people that this is going to happen. Apparently they're making some pretty substantial changes, I would guess, if it's going to be this like weird. But okay. Arma, thanks for being with us. I see you there in the old live chat. And TR, thanks for being with us. Thanks for being a subscriber. Appreciate that. Let me just, oh, there we go. Pseudo Jerome of Prague. Am I saying it right? Is it? I think it's Prague, right? James, what is your PhD in? It's in industrial organizational psychology. So it's kind of like business psychology. So a lot of people, they get done, a lot of fellow PhD students that have finished the program as well go on to work for like Amazon, and they'll be like an internal consultant, like on staff with Amazon. And then sometimes they'll go to places like Deloitte, KPMG, and then they'll send them out to different organizations to help them out with like change initiatives, things like that. Summer Rowe, thanks for your support. Said, you know who I haven't seen in a while in the channel? Sean Last. Oh yeah, yeah. Any chance of reaching out to him for more base? He's a total nerd, data. Like, yeah, he is. He's a very smart guy. That would be really cool. I'm open to that. I gotta, I have to get back to him. I appreciate you saying that. Thanks for your idea. Let me just have a little bit of my smoothie because I'm hoping to go to the gym soon. I need to have some energy. Today is biceps day. Uh, biceps, I give them their own day for real. So it's, but want to say, thank you to Scott Black who asked, "Oh my gosh, I don't know why this channel even exists. What is being accomplished here exactly?" Thanks for your question, Scott. I get a lot of questions like that in terms of like, what's the purpose of debate? Because a lot of people say, nobody changes their mind. That actually, let's say for the sake of argument that I granted that to be true, it's not. I've seen someone change their mind mid-debate actually. But let's say for the sake of it, that it's true that nobody changes their mind. I think that usually you people think that understandably because one, usually the most uh convinced, those who are the most like convicted about their beliefs are the ones in live chat that you see in the comments too. And so they say, "Oh, that other side was so stupid." And so when you only see comments that are like, "Oh, that other side was all stupid, so stupid," you start to think, "Oh, well, these people are just radical for one position or another. They're not going to change their minds." But though usually the ones that are kind of like, "Huh, that actually kind of persuaded me a little bit," they're not as likely to comment because it's usually, like I said, the ones that have deep conviction and passion. They're the ones that are going to, you could say, proselytize on behalf of their view. And I'm not using proselytize in a bad way. I don't think there's anything wrong with proselytizing, but they are the ones that are going to, assert their ideas in the comments usually, and also say that the other debater sucks. So I have gotten emails who people who have said that they've like changed as a result of listening to debates on Modern Day Debate and elsewhere. So that's one big thing. But then the other thing is, even in one debate, we actually saw a debater change his mind. Now you can understand, like I admit it's rare for a debater to change his mind. That's especially rare. But I have seen JF Gary Uppy was debating Daniel, who we had on today. And during the debate, JF basically kind of said like, "Huh, I think you're probably right about this." So it does happen. But let's say it didn't. A lot of people totally overlook the fact that debates are an awesome opportunity just for education. Even if people don't change their minds, they're at least more informed about their side and the other side. That absolutely. And like, you'd have to be an idiot to assert that people don't learn new things. I know I've learned tons of new things where I'm like, oh, that's what that side has as a response. Because, for example, like I host a lot of debates. So if I hear the same argument, which is common, a lot of times the same arguments are used in these debates, and then for, let's say 5 debates in a row, I never hear a response to it. And then somebody finally says, "Oh, well, here's the actual response." Like here's so I do hear new arguments and new responses to those arguments pretty, it's like it happens. So there's an absolute potential for learning. It's also kind of a mix of entertainment and education because people tend to find debates more engaging than lectures. Uh, it's hard to, I don't know if that's, if there's a lot of disagreement with that. Debates are oftentimes more exciting, more energy, just more clash. Kind of taps into people's like tribalism for better or worse. So I think there's a lot of value in debates just because of education as well. But I think there's an opportunity for growth in these contexts, like these environments too. And I want to say thanks for being here there. I see you there in the old live chat. Samaros says, I think there's a lot of value in having points being packaged in a digestible, communicable way. That's why we like debates. That's a good point, is that each debater is going to try to bring their best arguments, what they think are the best arguments for their side. And usually there's going to be like some convergence on that, right? There's going to be some disagreement. It's like some debaters use arguments that are like, what? That's weird. But the other thing is that they're trying to be concise because if you have like a 10-minute or even just a 15-minute opening statement to summarize, like you're going to have to make it clear. That's for sure. Like you have a complex idea or several that you're trying to fit into a little speech like that. It has to be clear. And sometimes it's not. That's too bad. But as debaters get more experience, they understand that better and they do better at it. So that's a good point too. ZMHH, glad to have you here. And Jerry Johnson, happy to have you here, says, well, debates generally have people holding strong positions which they have to defend. Yeah, so it makes sense that it's like extremely rare that they would back down during a debate in public. Like, I actually, here's the thing too. I did see a debater email a debater after a debate once, and they said, hey, that argument that I used, let's call it argument X. They say, hey, I looked it up and you were right. Your rebuttal to that is actually pretty good. So I think people do change minds. It's just really sophomoric. It sounds brutal, but it is kind of the wise fool who says like, "Oh, they don't change any minds." I'm like, "Nah, I think they do." It to say that they change zero minds, like you got to see how far fetched that is, right? Like to really, like, are you really going to take the position? Is there anyone out there that says like, "Well, I'll take the position that zero minds are ever changed"? Even that's the thing too. I think a lot of people they think of beliefs as binary, which is not the way you should think about beliefs. You should think of them as being on a scale. In other words, like a probability. So, like someone might have a probability of Christianity being true, and it could be. I think a lot of people say, well, it's you either think it's true or it's not. And it's like, well, not necessarily. Like you could probably be like, well, I'm kind of at like a probability of 0.5. So I'm kind of like, yeah, maybe it is, maybe it isn't. And maybe it's like you're like, well, okay, well then they just don't believe it. It's like, okay, well, what about if they're at a 0.6? So they're like, I think there's a 60% chance it's true. It's like, I kind of believe, right? So it kind of comes in magnitudes. It's kind of like incremental in terms of how much they believe, and thus the changes that they have during these debates are obviously probably going to be incremental as well. I think a lot of people are looking for in the comments, like somebody who says, "Whoa, I went from this single debate made me a Christian into an atheist, or an atheist into a Christian," and it's like that wouldn't even be reasonable. Like from one debate, you just like change your whole worldview. You probably want to read more, probably want to look into this more rather than just going off one debate. So you could say, yeah, the change is probably incremental. It's not as noticeable as we'd maybe expect or hope for, and that's just the way the world is. Water Kerr says, what is your favorite type of debate to moderate? Thanks for asking. I would say that it is. Christian versus Islam is fun. Atheist versus Islam is fun. Christian versus atheist is fun. The religion debates, that's what we started, and those were our big, that was our flagship topic. And politics was also a big topic. My pal Lex is calling me. I don't know if he's calling me on purpose because he knows I'm streaming. He's a nasty guy, but yeah, philosophy of religion was always our big topic. And we like political topics too. They are still not my favorite, to be honest. But they're very valuable. I'd say both in terms of modern day debate, people get sick of just We do have a flat Earth debate tonight. It is Flatterday night tonight, so you don't want to miss this debate tonight. Ryan will be hosting it. It's going to be a lot of fun. You don't want to miss it. It's going to be tremendous. I think it's tonight, or is it today? Pretty sure it's at night. But yeah, so we're excited about that. I'm hoping to do a stream today where I say, hey, thank you for all, thank you though for helping us hit that 200,000 subscriber mark. Um, Jerry Johnson says, are you religious? Yes, I am a Christian, and I'm, let's see, not a new, what's the word I'm looking for? I'm not of the view of like, oh, like, let's see. Let me put it this way. I'm a Christian, but I want everybody, whether they be atheist, Muslim, to feel welcome at Modern Day Debate. I want them to also know, like I said, people might be like, well, I'm I'm a Muslim. Why would I want to go on this atheist channel and debate? Because I'm in essence, like they are going to get new subscribers. That atheist channel will get new subscribers, and this will grow bigger because a Muslim is going to debate on there. And and it's not. I'm not arguing that it's bad because the channel is like run by an atheist, and that I don't want atheists to do to like be able to feed their families or something. It's more that a Muslim might have a problem with that, or a Christian, or an atheist, because they might be thinking, I don't really want to promote a channel that, I don't want to help them grow by going and being a debater on their channel when they clearly say my views are wrong like all the time, and that's their mission for their channel. That's not our mission for our channel. Like, it is not to say that Islam is wrong or atheism is wrong or Christianity is wrong. It's to, like I said, our vision is to strive to provide a neutral platform so that everybody has their chance to make their case on a level playing field. We believe YouTube deserves a better class of debate channel, and we're going to give it to them. So, thanks for asking that. Shell Shock says, does it break your heart when a Christian loses a debate? Not really, no. It happens. I'm open to admitting it happens. One thing that I always get skeptical is when anybody from any position, Muslim, atheist, etc., they are like, no, 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 I've never seen a debate where someone in my side lost. I'm like, really? Like, zero? Like, and then it's like, if you've only seen two debates, then maybe that is. But if they've seen a lot, I'm like, there are a lot of factors that go into the debate. So that so yeah, anyway, I would say though, the reason that I'm kind of like, yeah, that's life. If the Christian loses, that's okay, in the sense that, one, none of the debates on modern day debate are meaningful, such as, for example, if I think a Christian is more persuasive, it's not really meaningful if a Christian or anybody from any position was more persuasive because the moderators helped them. That's one of the criticisms of these presidential debates. Sometimes both sides will say that the other side has moderators that are biased. And whether it be Fox News or CNN, ABC, and that's a concern, right? Because it's like, well, if you win, both sides should be concerned about that bias. Because if your guy or gal wins as a result of the moderators kind of favoring them, it's like, well, then it's not a very real victory, is it? Like, it's kind of like, yeah, there should be like an asterisk next to someone's name in that case, if they're said to be the winner, because it's like, well, did they win? Like, it seems like it wasn't really fair. So how meaningful of a win is this? But yeah, I would say just it's all there are tons of debates that happen all over the place, and sometimes the Christians lose, and that's okay. My hope is at least that the Christians behave well, and sometimes they, frankly, they're human, so they don't always. And but I hope anybody from any position behaves well. Water Cure, thanks for your question. Said, how do you prepare for the moderation like that of today was not easy? I think, yeah, today's was a little more challenging just because I'm embarrassed to say that the name tags were even wrong at the start of the debate. How embarrassing that was. I was just This is a complex topic for me that I'm new to, so I could have done better there. But I would say it was also a little bit more challenging. We usually do 2-minute intervals during the open dialogue, and I'm okay. There's nothing wrong with 1 minute. It's just like a little bit more involved because I have to keep track every single minute. I have to reset that little clock. And so it's not automatic. It's where I basically, and then also there might be a case of where somebody's like sharing their screen, it takes an extra 10 seconds, and so it's not a matter of just the clock turning over. It's like I kind of gotta have to pause it for 10 seconds. So, but let me Jerry Johnson says, were they backwards, the name tags? They were kind of backwards in the sense that I misunderstood who was Shiite and who was Sunni, and then also even understood who was yes versus no. It's just been a long week. Oh, but I'm excited though. We've been working really hard. DebateCon behind the scenes. I've been getting the wheels turning on that, so that's going to be in February. I'm very excited about that. And then Shellshock says, "Can I be a new debater on this channel, debating abortion or trans issues?" Yes, modernddaydebate@gmail.com is my email address. And there's even in the description box, there should be a link um, in this very description box. Let me check. That says like what we are looking for in terms of information if a person wants to come on and debate. Oh, it's not even there. I do have to put that in there. Basically, yeah, I wonder why. But yes, modernddaydebate@gmail.com. If you let me know what you want to debate, what topic, and what position you take on it in the email, per se, in the email, so that way I can reference it and go back and look at it. That makes it easier for me to try to set something up. And yeah. Whew. Let me enjoy this smoothie. Last night here. Thanks, Anathema, for your support. We do have Discord. So linked in the description box and also in the live chat right now. We do have a Discord for Modern Day Debate. A lot of fun. You can get experience debating there as well. A lot of our regular debaters started in the Discord. They were debating there and they enjoyed it and they got experience and they're like, hey, all right. I do think it's good. It's not a good idea to come on a Modern Day Debate for your first debate. Don't open an email with that. Because when someone says that, they're like, "Yeah, it's my first debate, and I want to do it on modern debate." I'm like, that's probably don't. Why would you tell someone like don't open with that? Um, it's a good thing to get experience in the Discord. Not that I want them to lie, obviously. I'm just saying. The thanks Jerry Johnson for asking. Discord link is in the description box, but Shane also. Let me check it if it is. Yes, there it is. It's discord.gg/modern day debate. And thanks so much. Oh, I forgot to say, thanks for your super chat from uh language I don't recognize. I'm sorry, friend. But I know it is from the AED. Is that from I'm trying to remember what country that currency is from, but yeah. Joe Baz says open to debate IOR. I don't know what IOR means. I know I've heard of open to debate. I mean I know of that channel. But I don't know what IOR means. Skeptic Spin, good to see you there in the old live chat. Thanks for coming by, Justin. And my pleasure on that shout out. I hope that you're doing well, Justin. Thanks for all your help. Want to give a huge shout out. Justin helped make modern day debate so much better. I was super burnt out, just so tired. And he was like, "Hey man, I promise it's worth it. You should use Stream Elements." And I was like, "No, no." But he stuck with me. He was patient and he had the wisdom where he's like, I'm gonna just kind of, let it be and then float this back to James later. And he was right. It's an improvement for modern day debate. So I'm grateful for his help, his influence. And he also helped via moderating debates. He's also helped via advice on stage management stuff and branding. So Justin, thanks, man. Seriously, really appreciate you. It means more than you know. So yeah, if you ever see Skeptic Spin is hosting a debate, and I just put that in the YouTube community tab, and that'll be whether or not evolution is real. That is going to be in like a week and about 8 days. So you can check that out. We do want to let people know whether debates are happening. That's kind of you, Skeptic Spin. Like I'm just telling the truth that it's all it is you've helped us a ton. So you've helped me a ton personally. So thank you. And we do want to like let people know like, hey, there are some debates, happening here or happening there because we're like, hey, wherever it happens, like we want our audience to know about it. We don't want to be like, oh, we're the only ones that can host debates. It's like that's weird. We were never the first channel to host debates, and it's just everybody's going to keep on hosting them. So like it's it's good. We like we said for the same reasons we gave at the beginning of the stream. Uh, it's a great medium for education. People learn from them, so it's a good thing that they happen anywhere. And NetTube user says, "Hello, James. I hope you're doing well today. I received the YouTube notification an hour and a half late and missed the entire debate. Oh man, well don't worry. Well, it's at least it's going to be here as a video on demand. So wish you could have made it live, but don't worry. You're better late than never. And you did make it live in the stream at least. So good to see you, Houston Exorcist. Thank you for coming by." And then Ryan Diamond says, "Flat Earth debate tonight. Make sure you all hit that notification bell." It is true. Yes. Tonight there's going to be a juicy flat earth debate. It is Flatterday night. So hit that notification bell and then you'll get a notification. Hopefully. Here's how YouTube works with subscribing. Sometimes you subscribe and you're like, I didn't get a notification. YouTube will notice, like, if a person subscribes to a channel but doesn't usually click on the videos that YouTube recommends from that channel. Ooh, excuse me. Then YouTube will both stop recommending as much, and they also won't even give you a notification, even if you doesn't make sense because you asked for it. If you flip the bell switch, don't know why that is. And Joe Baz says, "Open a debate or a modern day debate?" Obviously, I prefer modern day debate. I'm biased though, so. But yeah. Huge shout out to Ryan as well. Ryan has been a huge help moderating many debates, oftentimes on call where I'm just like, oh, I'm tired. Can you jump in for me? And so I'm so grateful. It's been a long, exciting adventure. Um, yeah, pretty tired now. I'm gonna go for a walk after this. So yes. Oh, Anathema said if you don't, so if he said YouTube will also unsubscribe someone if you don't interact with a channel for a year. I didn't know that. I could believe it though. I think I've heard of that. That YouTube will both unsubscribe people who, but they sometimes they do like a clean out. I would guess you're right that it goes like on the individual's own clock. So like if a given channel, once they hit the 12-month mark, if they haven't logged in or something too, like YouTube might even delete accounts. Um, so yeah, that makes sense. But yeah, I want to say thank you guys. I'm gonna let you go. I want to say I appreciate all your support. We love you. Thanks for making this fun. We're excited about the future. We have, as Ryan mentioned, thanks for your kind words. Ryan Imad says, "Love you, bro." So coming up on 2 years. It's a while, man. I love you too. And thanks, Shane, as well, for being a mod. Thanks for all of our mods. And thanks for being a channel member if you are. We do have memberships and Patreon if you didn't know. And yeah, tonight, Ryan is going to be here and it's going to be amazing. So don't miss out on that. It's going to be a lot of fun. And yeah, we will see you at the next one. Keep sifting out the reasonable from the unreasonable. Thanks for all your support. See you next time.